You're watching TSN, the Sports Network.
Tonight we have stars and all-stars, familiar faces in different places, league leaders, award winners, and big names old and new. The biggest star of all this CFL season has been Mike Clemens. Last week against Saskatchewan, his first touchdown brought a ball for his mom. But Clemens was far from finished. The electrifying pinball scored touchdown number 2, and this time gave the ball to his sister. And then to cap it off, a vintage Clemens run, the kind that earned him the nickname of Pinball. When it was done, a night to remember. 3 touchdowns on the board, 3 footballs in the stands, and tonight Clemens and the rest of the stars shine in Edmonton. TSN presents the CFL Game of the Week. Tonight's game brought to you by GMC Trucks, the trucks more people lean on. And by 7-Up, it's cool to be clear. The CFL's last natural grass field is the battleground as the Argos get set to take on the Eskimos. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Commonwealth Stadium. I'm Gord Miller, filing in along with the rest of the fans for what may be the most hotly anticipated CFL game of the season. This game has it all. Big stars on offense and defense, players like Matt Dunnigan returning home, and of course people like Gizmo, Henry Williams, trying to prove that he belongs atop the list of CFL punt returners. It should be a great night for football. The stars are all here, and so are the men who will call the action, John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
Right you are, Gord. On paper, we've got it all, including the return of Matt Dunnigan to Commonwealth Stadium as the quarterback of the Argos trying to get back into the lineup.
Well, John, you know, it's really great to see Matt back in the lineup tonight. You and I had a conversation with him before the game. He assures us that he is 100% healthy. You know, Ricky Foggy did a great job in Matt's absence, but make no mistake, Matt Dunnigan is their #1 quarterback. Should be fun to see him play.
And tonight is the first night that Matt Dunnigan will get a chance to throw footballs to the Rockets.
Yeah, in the opener, Matt played and Rocket didn't play. And, of course, Matt got hurt. So tonight is the first time we will see these two under game conditions hook up. And I expect throughout the course of the season, maybe not tonight, but we're going to see some magic from these two guys.
Ron Lancaster says his quarterback, Tracy Ham, is the best in the Canadian Football League. He's certainly been performing well in 1991.
Well, he's off to an all-star season. You know, with all the Toronto hoopla coming into Edmonton, not much has been said about the Eskimos, but really Ham, 16 touchdown passes already, over 500 yards rushing, and he is, as I said, having an all-star kind of year. And a couple of guys he's got to work with, Jim Sandusky, David Williams, 2 wide receivers, 11 touchdowns between them in the first 6 games. You know, they were not here last year. A couple of great acquisitions. This should be quite a night.
Now, Leif, the CFL record for points in a single game is 111.
You're not thinking about that already, are you?
I think it might be possible, and hope we might even see that. Gord?
And I think you might be right, gentlemen. Look at the scoring pace these two teams are on as compared to last year. And at their current paces, both would break the CFL record for points in a season. The Argos averaging over 41 a game so far this season. Special teams are the focus tonight. The return men, the Rocket, and the Pinball for Toronto. Henry the Gizmo Williams and Craig Ellis for Edmonton. We'll watch them, and we'll watch the men who are trying to track them down. JP Escuerdo for the Argos and Jed Roberts of the Eskimos. Toronto has not won in this stadium since 1986. It looks to end that streak with some of the biggest names in the game, and they'll kick it off next on TSN.
Week 7 in the CFL begins with a showdown at Commonwealth. The top 2 scoring teams in the league. Toronto 5-1, Edmonton 4-2, and we could be in for a shootout here tonight. Short kick. Taken at the 46.
How about that for an opening play? The onside kick. Dave Van Bellingham did a nice job to return it. That's good field position for Matt Dunnigan in his first series.
Just a 2-yard return after a 33-yard kickoff, and here comes Matthew Dunnigan.
Well, those numbers you saw just posted on the screen, he's only thrown 40 passes. And, boy, you know, like talking to him before the game, John, he almost seemed a little nervous about coming back and starting tonight.
First down, Argos. Dunnigan goes deep. And he has the Rockets. What a great opening play for the Argos. Well, to the Rocket.
Well, you know this is in the game plan. I mean, they want to get the ball to the Rocket at least 33% of the time on offense. And Matt starts off a little pump fake, and he is able to get in behind Mark Mathis, number 13. And, of course, with that blinding speed, I'm surprised Mathis was able to catch him from behind. How about that for a start?
A 49-yard gain for Ismail, and the Argos are deep in Eskimo territory already. It'll be 1st and 10, Toronto at the Edmonton 15. Dunnigan, all kinds of time, touchdown! Mike Clemens, 2 plays, and the Argos are in the Eskimo end zone. Matt Dunnigan looks pretty sharp.
2 for 2, touchdown. Argos throw so many weapons at you. You know, Ishmael split out wide. Darryl Smith on the other side with Jeff Boyd. And then you'll watch Pinball Clements at the left of your screen. He just sneaks over the middle. And nobody picks him up. The Edmonton Eskimos coming on the blitz. Middle safety David Shelton, I suspect, had him in coverage and couldn't get there in time. They'd make it look pretty easy.
14:03 to play in the opening quarter, and the Argos have the lead, 7-0. Flag down on the convert by Lance Chomik.
I mean, you hardly get into your seat, and we got a touchdown. These people still filing in here to Commonwealth Stadium. When they finally sit down and see the scoreboard reading 7-0, they won't believe it.
Offside. Edmonton. Penalty will be applied on the kickoff. Single point.
So Rocket caught the first pass from Matt Dunnigan, and Pinball Clemens caught the second for the touchdown. Clemens'
Hello,
4th
everybody back
touchdown
in
of the
Toronto.
season.
Hi, Diane. How you doing, Pumpkin? Hi, everybody back in Florida. See the Rocket? He's my hero. This boy's getting off. He's nice.
Well, Mike, of course, from Clearwater in Florida, saying hello to some of his friends down there. Matt Dunnigan looks pretty sharp on that opening drive, 2 for 2. And, you know, I know he was a little nervous. He wondered how he would be mentally coming back, starting a game physically. He thought, sure, it's going to be a little while before I'm back to 100% physically to play a game. But, boy, if that first drive was any indication, he has not skipped a beat.
That's right, PF Toronto. It's live. It's going to be a long night. A lot of football play.
That's right. Like Chucky on Child's Play. He's back. He's back.
They don't have a good time, do they?
The Argos are a pretty loose football team.
Oh.
They have a good time at practice just about every day. And they're having a good time here in the early moments at Commonwealth Stadium into a 7-0 lead. And that was on the opening sequence of plays. This is Eddie Thomas on the return for the Eskimos. And he was upended at the 25 and sent flying. Bruce Dixon leading the Argo tacklers there. A 9-yard return after a 52-yard kickoff. So it's up to Tracy Ham and the Eskimos to respond to a 2-play drive by the Toronto Argonauts. 7-0 Argos.
I mean, only in the CFL, 2-play drives. I mean, an 8-play drive for a score is almost non-existent these days. The numbers for Tracy Ham, pretty impressive. Interception to touchdown ratio.
From the 25, that's Blake Marshall. And it's tough going inside for Blake Marshall. A calm night at Commonwealth.
Well, it's a beautiful day here. Nice warm temperature tonight. There you see 21 Celsius. Wind not a factor at all this evening. They talked about rain maybe later, but so far it looks pretty good.
Marshall picked up 3. This is 2nd and 7 Eskimos. Having some difficulty, escapes and finds Henry Williams, and he gets the first down. Williams out across the 40, and he's near the 45-yard line. He was stopped, but escaped. One change for the Eskimos up front with Pierre Verscheval moving into a starting role. He was injured at training camp and finally gets back into the lineup. Sandusky and Williams outside, Sincar and Ellis inside. Tracy Ham, the quarterback, and Marshall and Taylor, two pretty good runners in the backfield.
Well, they've gone to a kind of an ace formation right now. Reggie Taylor is out, and the Gizmo is in as an extra receiver. That is a pretty good receiving core right now.
Ham eludes the pressure and looks long. He's got Sandusky wide open, and he is gone.
Oh! Is this any good?
A 66-yard strike to Jim Sandusky. The Eskimos respond with a touchdown on their first series of plays.
Reggie Pleasant, one of the more reliable corners in the league, really gets fooled here. He thinks Tracy Ham maybe is going to run. He comes up, and Jim Sandusky is all alone. You see Carl Braisley in your screen, the closest man there, but it was Reggie Pleasant who let Sandusky just go all alone. So the Edmonton Eskimos, it doesn't take them long to answer. It took them 3 plays, a little longer than the Argonauts.
Yeah.
But
30% more time.
yeah, they answer pretty quickly.
It's all even once more at Commonwealth in Edmonton. The Eskimos and the Argos. We promised a shootout. The early indications are we'll fulfill that here tonight. First quarter, 2 touchdowns already. Here's Sandusky on a 66-yard catch.
We haven't played 3 minutes yet, and you see Sandusky, obviously Reggie Pleasant expected he was going to get help deep. Toronto Argonauts secondary is a good secondary. In fact, they rank best in the league. They do not make too many mistakes, but they made a big mistake there. Tracy Ham, with buying himself some time, gets out of the pocket and hits Sandusky his 7th touchdown reception so far this season. 17th TD pass for Tracy Ham. Pretty good numbers. He and Matt even now, each completed 2 for 2. This is going to be a beauty.
Yeah, ready for another kickoff. And let's see what happens this time. This is Mike Clemens on the return for the Argos, and not much room that time. Stopped at the 36. Willie Pless leading the tacklers.
And Willie Pless will have a busy night on defense facing this Toronto Argonaut offense. Interesting matchup tonight. The Eskimo defense ranks 3rd in the league coming into tonight's play. And, of course, the Toronto Argonauts 3rd in total offense. I thought they might be a little higher than that. But now that Matt Dunnigan is back, I'm sure they will move up in the rankings in total offense in a hurry.
Let's see what Matt Dunnigan does here when he settles down a little bit. On 1st and 10. Mike Clemens has the football, escaped 1 tackler, but not the second. Pless was there once more. And here's the Argo offense with 1 change right in the middle this week. Blaine Schmidt, the starting center, and Scamp is back. The outside guys are Boyd and Ismail. Inside, it's Murray and Smith. Dunnigan back at the controls with Kelly and the pinball. For Clemens, the last play netted a yard. This is 2nd and 9. Dunnigan looking deep for Ismail, and he overthrows him.
Well, Matt Dunnigan picked out the right guy that time. Edmonton Eskimos coming with the blitz. Eddie Thomas came up and played bump and run coverage on the Rocket. And, boy, if you think he's intimidated by the Rocket, forget it. I mean, he came up and gave Rocket a real slam at the line of scrimmage, threw him off his pattern initially. And, boy, when you do that, you know you're playing with confidence, because 1 mistake and the Rocket is by you. That was a great play by Eddie Thomas.
Here's Hank Olisic, the Edmonton native, averaging 43.7 yards a punt for the Argos. Low kick this time. And the lone man back is Henry Williams. Here's his return. He got 1 key block, and the Giz is forced out at about the 47. Hank Olisic, the kicker, getting to Henry Williams. Good return.
You know, John, you and I were talking today about the coaches in the game today and how we appreciated, and the fans at home should appreciate the fact that, hey, listen, we're going to kick to all the good kick returners tonight. Both coaches said that. Giz is going to get to do his thing. The Rocket and Pinball are going to get to do their thing, returning kicks, and we're going to keep a running total for you. The matchup between the kick returners tonight should be interesting to see who wins that battle.
1st and 10 for the Eskimos at the 48, and Marshall was stopped initially and grabbed a yard on 2nd effort.
Boy, Mike Campbell, number 99, the second-year defensive end for the Argonauts, got great penetration. And then Brian Warren, number 44, cleaned up and made the final tackle. You know, you talk about trades and moves that the Argonauts have made, and certainly the Rocket coming in is the most notorious of them. But I think Brian Warren, the fact that Mike McCarthy, the general manager, went out and made a trade for Brian Warren, is one of the most significant moves that they did make all offseason.
Tracy Ham on second and long has Craig Ellis, and he dropped the ball. Ellis had it for a split second.
A great adjustment Craig Ellis makes at the end of his pattern. Carl Blaisley has all over him, and a little tug on the jersey to boot, but Craig Ellis almost comes down with a super catch. Brian Warren, 44, he was right in the face of Tracy Ham just as he let that thing go, but Brian Warren has been a huge addition to this defense. They need more speed at the rush end position. He's been able to give it to them. 6 sacks so far in 6 games.
We'd like to welcome viewers to our TSN telecast in Edmonton tonight. The blackout has been lifted, and you're in for a treat. Running steps out at the 25. 38-yard punt, a 4-yard return. We've been making a little history this year in the CFL. We were in Saskatchewan for the first blackout lift there, and here in Edmonton tonight for the first blackout lift by the Eskimos. They were thinking about it today, but the decision was made just moments before game time.
Well, they're expecting over 50,000 people here at Commonwealth Stadium, and there's no question that the Toronto Argonauts have been a tremendous sell on the road this year.
Matt Dunnigan and the Argos, 1st and 10. Here are the 15. Dunnigan to Ismail. He had it and dropped it.
Well, although the Rocket comes into our league with a great deal of fanfare, you still have to remember he's a young receiver, and he will get better and better. There's no question about that. And from a talent aspect, there's no one that has come into the league with more talent than him. But hey, he's still going to make some mistakes like that one.
He made one big catch to set up a touchdown earlier. Masadi making the catch and stepping out of bounds.
Well, it looked like he did a great job to keep his feet in bounds. The referee, although was right on the spot and determined that he was out of bounds. The thing about the Argos, they have so much depth in that receiving core. You know, Paul Mazzatti, a guy really not penciled in at a starting spot tonight, but he is in early in the first quarter, giving Jeff Boyd a break.
So Illicik enters once more at 7-7. The Eskimos and the Argonauts at Commonwealth tonight. Another low kick. This is Henry Williams, and it skips by him all the way back to the 16-yard line. Away from a couple of tackles, and the Giz is out to the 31. A touchdown each way on the opening drives, and it's even at 7 at Commonwealth.
All the ladies in the standard tonight, because tonight is Sports Select Girls Night out with the Eskimos.
Their coaches, Ron Lancaster and Adam Rita, refreshing and positive attitudes toward the way this game is played. It's been kind of a fun week being around these guys.
Yeah, it really has. You know, I see some definite similarities between the two coaches, and I think they're two fellows that have really adapted to football in the 90s. It is not the fire and brimstone that it once was, and these two coaches, although they appear to have a low-key approach, in total command of both football teams, and really have put some exciting teams on the field this year.
And Adam hired Ronnie's son, Ronnie Lancaster Jr.
That's right.
He's in charge of the running backs for the Argos. 7-7 the score. 8:12 to go in the opening quarter. First down, Edmonton. Flag down as Reggie Taylor makes the catch. Gain will be 9 if it stands.
Chris Gaines with a tackle for a flag down.
Dave Ewell in charge of proceedings.
Offside. Toronto number 70. First down repeated.
First and 5, Eskimos. Ball
So it's first and 5 on the penalty against Harold Hallman. Early movement once more, but no flag as Reggie Taylor carries. And he's short of the first down.
Taylor, the ball carry.
8 is a couple.
Gave him about 2 on the play. Brought down by a host of Argos.
Should be an interesting test for this defense. They know that Edmonton will like to run the football against them tonight. Rodney Harding back in the lineup after missing a few games, and I think a linebacking core that maybe doesn't get the credit they deserve. Darryl Ford, Chris Gaines, and Donnie Moen, an excellent group, and of course the secondary ranks #1 in the CFL in pass coverage. Although they had a mental breakdown early, this is a good group.
Reggie Taylor enough for the first down. He's across the 45.
Boy, the Edmonton Eskimos, I think better than any other team in the league, do a great job at trap blocking. That time, Pierre Vercheval, the left guard, came across and watched the big hole. Blake Dermott, he comes to, and a nice hole. Dermott leads it straight up through for Reggie Taylor. And the Argonauts, hey, they're a tough team to run against. They rank second in that department, but the Edmonton Eskimos feel like they can run against them.
First and 10 for Tracy Ham and the Eskimos. The pressure is there. Ham gets away from 1, 2, 3 Argos and runs himself. Tracy Ham, and that was a brilliant run. 3 Argos had a shot at him, and Ham escapes.
That's unbelievable. Hallman had a shot, Mike Campbell had a shot, and Brian Warren had a shot. I mean, these guys are good tacklers. I mean, it just tells you how elusive Tracy Ham really is. Good job downfield covering, and boy, see Tracy Ham. I mean, I can't believe he got away from Campbell there. There it is. Rodney Harding had a shot, Hallman had a shot, and Warren almost had a shot at him. But Tracy Ham, who will undoubtedly, if he stays healthy, set another rushing record for quarterbacks.
Set a single game rushing record for quarterbacks last week against Ottawa with 166 yards.
That's unbelievable. He's around 600 yards now for the season, and of course only has to get to 1,100 to break his record he set last year.
Second and 2, and Blake Marshall carries. It'll be close.
Blake Marshall carries the ball and some Argos.
You know, in conversations with Ron Lancaster, you know, we talked about how you try and stop the Toronto Argonauts, and I mean the obvious came up. We would like to play ball control on offense and of course keep it away from their offense, but I think the thing that he said was the most critical aspect tonight for them was to have good first down production. I mean, he said this Toronto defense is not a sit-back kind of defense like it was a few years ago. They will come after you, and we cannot get involved in second and longs all night long.
Lancaster was also talking about scoring drives and how he felt you had to get to the end zone in less than 10 plays. Because along the way, in a 10-play drive, somebody's going to mess something up.
Well, you know, it's only 3-down football. You're talking 10 plays as NFL with 4 downs. 3 downs up here, very difficult to have 10 successful plays in a row.
Near side, David Williams couldn't bring it down.
Tracy Ham intended to pass for David Williams.
It'll be second and 10.
On the coverage for the Argos. It'll be second and 10.
One other game tonight in Canadian football, Gord.
And Kent Austin is back with a vengeance. The 45-yard touchdown pass to Ray Elgard has put the Riders ahead 7-3 in the first quarter. Lou Pasaglia with a field goal for the Lions.
Nice to see Ray Elgard get a touchdown. He's been struggling this year in some of the games that I've watched. It seems like he is back in track with his favorite quarterback back in there, Kent Austin.
This is second and 10 for Ham and the Eskimos. The charge again. Ham away. Eyes some time to throw. And then fired into the dirt. Intended for Craig Ellis.
Well, I think that play shows you right there why Tracy Ham has matured into one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Nobody to throw to, but rather than take the sack, he just decides, I'm going to throw it near a receiver, but I'm going to throw it in the ground so nothing gets picked off. That's why he has a 17 touchdown to 6 interception ratio.
Third and 10, Eskimos ball in Toronto 54.
Well, you know, I've said it before. If I was allowed one quarterback to start a team, he's my guy.
You're looking pretty smart on that one.
Well, hey, he just threw an incompletion, and I'm still willing to take him. Come on.
On third down, Ray McAreedy is in, and the Rocket is back. Standing at the 10-yard line. We'll see what he can do. Injured Argo is Don Moen, number 36, the Iron Man himself. 10th year out of UBC.
Yeah, you talk about Donnie Moen and the Iron Man. This is his 161st consecutive game. That's a very admirable record for him.
How many did you play in a row? Do you remember?
Oh, I no idea.
The Rocket under it at the 20. Surrounded quickly by Eskimos, and there's very little running room. Penalty marker comes down.
Might be a face mask.
It's 7-7 at Commonwealth in Edmonton with 5:29 to play in the opening quarter. The TSN Game of the Week.
Kicks tonight, and we singled out two really good young Canadians who do a great job kicking, and we'll hear from them, J.P. Esquerdo and Jed Roberts.
Yeah, I think you have to prepare for both athletes differently. Pinball is shiftier and he's quicker on the break, so you have to break down to tackle pinball. So where the Rocket's concerned, you need to get the proper angle because there's tremendous speed. It can beat you around the outside. So that's how we're going to prepare for both returners.
Well, they like to set up a wedge return, and they're going to come right up the middle and have a couple big guys in front of Giz and Craig Ellis. And we just have to get to that wall and take it down, and whoever's going to get there first is going to try and make the tackle and not let him turn the game around in a situation where he can do that.
Now, do you envy these two guys tonight?
Not at all. No, number one, they're going to do a lot of running. I don't envy that, but, you know, I think it's interesting. You know, we always talk about special teams as being not so much finesse, but more heart and just second effort. But tonight, I really think there's a lot of technical things that will come into play. They have to break down against certain guys, and then they have to make sure that they don't let Rocket get to the outside. A lot of thinking will go on through the players' heads as they go down and cover kicks tonight.
First and 10 for the Argos at the 27. And Kelly is stopped. Number 24, Keith Kelly, averaging 5.1 yards a carry. Didn't find any room there. Lost a couple.
Sorry, John. Benny Goods, number 40, makes the play. He comes slashing down, and from behind will stop Keith Kelly in the backfield. Benny Goods in for Mike Walker, who's out with an ankle injury. In fact, the Edmonton Eskimos lost a couple of people on their front line last week. Michel Bourgeot is out with a separated shoulder. That means Rob Davidson has come in, and then number 40, Benny Goods. Now, he's familiar with the Edmonton scheme. He was with them last year, and, of course, has been practicing with them all season on that practice roster. So tonight, he gets his start.
Benny Goods played 2 games last regular season, and he was in the Grey Cup. A little more speed than Mike Walker up front, so there's a little less experience, but a little more mobility.
A little more mobility. He's a little undersized. Doesn't have the strength that a Mike Walker has, just pressing and pushing those offensive linemen back upfield into the quarterback.
Do you want me to get
5:02 to play in the opening quarter. We had touchdowns on the first 2 offensive series, and that's all we've had so far.
Yeah, it's the dust has settled a little bit here in the first quarter. Keith Kelly, the injured Toronto Argonauts, and well, what a training camp he had in preseason. In fact, Kevin Smelly was the starting fullback last year for the Argonauts, but Keith Kelly simply beat him out. And he's from Bishops. He's got his pal on the other side of the ball, Leroy Blue, will be trying to tackle him all night. They both were teammates at Bishops University. Keith Kelly, an all-star there. He's off to a great start. You know, he was originally drafted by the BC Lions. They cut him. He went to Hamilton. They cut him. And now the Toronto Argonauts have it, and he's a starter for him. Great story.
Lots of stars in the crowd tonight. Gordon Miller with ones.
Boy, are there ever, John. World Figure Skating Champion Kurt Browning is here with me among this galaxy of stars. Did you get here in time to see the touchdown?
Well, I almost missed it. I blinked. God, they didn't waste any time teaching us a lesson about throwing the ball, did they? We came right back. We're having a good time.
Time flies. The Albertville Olympics are just around the corner. What's your schedule for the next few months?
Well, my summer was spent putting together the program that everyone will see at the Olympics. Other than that, it was spent learning how to golf. And then my fall will really pick up. And I have a competition right in Albertville in November. Then that will give me a lot of information, gear right up for February.
Any quads in the upcoming future?
No, not quite. Only a couple of 4s on the golf course.
Kurt Browning, thanks very much, and best of luck.
All right, thanks.
You'll see Kurt on the Eskimo fire truck if Edmonton scores another touchdown. Wide open. Jeff Boyd. Big play for the Argos. First down. 24 yards to Jeff Boyd.
Well, you know, the Edmonton defensive backs are really in a bind. You know, do they come up and challenge these tremendous Toronto receivers, or do they lay off? And that time they laid off, and Matt Dunnigan found the right guy. It was pretty easy pass and catch, and I don't know, it's an interesting matchup. This Edmonton secondary is going to have their hands full.
First down. Argos at the 48. And another first down as Clemens comes up with a terrific catch.
Only an experienced quarterback can complete that throw. Matt Dunnigan knew that Pinball was circling in behind Larry Ruck, the linebacker. You'll see it at the top of your screen. And he threw that ball before Pinball even got into the hole over the head of Willie Pless. And, boy, experience dictates that that throw can be completed. A young guy, no way he can make that.
17-yard gain in his first down, Toronto. Now at the Eskimo 45. Dunnigan fires quickly. Another first down, and the Rocket is dragged down at the 25.
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos are trying to mix up their coverages, playing a little man, a little zone. Here they get caught in the zone, and so far they are getting burned when they're in zone. See, Andrew Murray goes to the flat. He takes the inside halfback. That creates a nice passing lane for Matt Dunnigan to hit Rocket Ishmael. Mark Mathis giving him all kinds of room, and sooner or later they're going to have to challenge these receivers.
From the Eskimo 25, Dunnigan. Sidelines. And they rule it a catch. Andrew Murray, number 86.
Well, if anyone was worried about the calf injury to Matt Dunnigan, and was he 100%, I mean, watch him run on this play. He simply outruns the defense. Danny Bass coming on the blitz. He is pretty quick. Matt gets away from him. That's a great catch by Andrew Murray to keep his feet in bounds.
And the gain is marked at 11 yards. The Argo drive continues.
It's a good drive.
First and 10 at the Edmonton 14. Dunnigan stands in. Touchdown. Andrew Murray. Boy, do they have some receivers on this team. You cover the Rocket and Pinball and Boyd and Smith. And then there's Andrew Murray.
And he gets his first of the year. Everybody else has been scoring, so finally Andrew Murray able to contribute to this offense with his first touchdown of 1991. And you know, I think a lot of credit goes to that Toronto offensive line. When Matt Dunnigan has just gone to straight drop-back passing tonight, they have given him all kinds of time to throw, and that allowed the man right there on your screen to pick up his first of the year.
The Argos in front once more, and now it's by a converted touchdown. 2:53 to go in the opening quarter in Edmonton, and the Argos in front of the Eskimos 14-7 on Andrew Murray's 14-yard reception.
It's tough to figure down the goal line how he can be so wide open. It seems like anytime someone goes into the middle of the Edmonton secondary, he's not being picked up. Same area that really Pinball Clemens scored on his touchdown, and that time Andrew Murray, same spot, same results.
Nifty little six-play drive, covering 83 yards, and Dunnigan is determined tonight.
It was funny. Adam Reida quoted in the Toronto papers this week talking about the success of their offense, of course, against Saskatchewan last week, and the amount of points that they were able to score. He said, who knows, when we get Matt back and we get all the guys working together, we may score 100 one day. I don't know. I think it's possible.
They set a CFL record for points scored in a season last year and are on target to break that again. Craig Ellis making the reception. And it's an Eskimo first down.
Key catches by the Rocket, and Jeff Boyd set up the six-play 83-yard drive, and Andrew Murray caps it off as the scoring derby continues. They may need some new bulbs in the board before we're over tonight.
45-yard kick and a 9-yard return by Ellis sets the Eskimos up at the 39. Let's see if Tracy Hand can respond on this drive. Carries himself. He's more than halfway to the first down.
Tracy Hand takes off for 6 yards.
Boy, he can tire defense out in a hurry. The Argo front four have done a lot of running so far in this first quarter, trying to chase Tracy Ham down. They finally catch him there, but he does pick up almost 7 yards on that run. Toronto defense ranks first in the CFL this year. They are a much improved group.
This is 2nd and 4. And Reggie Taylor has the Eskimo first down. He's across the 50.
Taylor on the draw play.
Stopped by Darryl Ford, number 21.
Not surprising, Darryl Ford leads the league in tackles with his 42nd right there. something that the Edmonton Eskimos have done all season long, and that is run the football. They are the leaders in that category by a huge margin. You know, they average almost 260 yards a game on the ground. That's unbelievable. And that's one of the fellows you just saw that's going to be doing his best to try and shut it down tonight. Darryl Ford.
From the 50, the Eskimos 1st and 10. Taylor caught in the backfield, flipped it back to Ham, but the play was whistled down.
You know, at points this year, both Harold Hallman and Rodney Harding were out of the lineup, and that really hurt the Toronto Argonauts up the middle. Now that those two fellows are back, you can see tonight they're getting instant penetration. That time Hallman in quickly to stop that play for a loss in the backfield, but Harding back, the all-time Argonauts sack leader. Hallman back in there. You see Hallman slipped the block of center Rod Connup, and I mean, you're going against one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Hallman just blew by him.
A loss of 4 at 2nd and 14, Eskimos. Back at the 46. Big charge on Ham, and he's down. Brian Warren racing through, number 44. First sack of the night. His 7th of the season.
What a great move to get him in the offseason. They gave up John Conjemi, and in return they got Brian Warren and Dean Dorsey. Now Dean Dorsey no longer here, but Brian Warren, that is his 7th sack of the season so far. And that was really a position they were in trouble at last year. Did not get the speed and pressure from the outside pass rush. Brian Warren has given it to them this year.
Warren was an Eskimo for 2 years, 87 through 89.
Well, you figure in his 4 years previous to this, now in limited playing time, he had 10 sacks in 4 years. Now he's got 7 in 7 games.
Mike Clemens dropped the ball, but got away with it. Great return for the pinball right to midfield. Stopped at the 55. Danny Bass was there to pin him.
Well, I think the grass field really makes a difference for the pinball. He was one cut away from really taking it the distance. There you see that little fumble kind of freezes everybody, and he is able to return it.
27 yards.
See, watch the cut right here, though. Normally on AstroTurf, he can make that cut, but this time the shoes slipped out from underneath him, and he was pinned down, but that's a heck of a return. He is exciting. Looks like they're going to alternate punt returns tonight. Mike one time and the Rocket the next.
Pinball Clemens gives the Argos great field position right at midfield. And Smelly carries for close to 5 yards. Argos have looked very sharp offensively and lead after the first quarter by a touchdown. Our TSN Game of the Week live from Commonwealth shows the Argos leading 14-7. Ready for the second quarter at Commonwealth in Edmonton with the Argos leading the Eskimos 14-7. Lots of offense in this one so far. Gord?
Well, the long-awaited return of Ken Austin is paying dividends. He's now thrown a touchdown pass to Jeff Fairholm. Add that to the earlier touchdown to Ray Elgard, and it's 14-3 Saskatchewan early second quarter.
Find those slot backs, Ken Austin, and you usually win.
Hey, it didn't take him long to figure out where his bread is buttered when he came back at quarterback. Got to get those two inside guys involved. So we have a moment. The Toronto Argonauts are at home next Tuesday night at Sky Dome against the BC Lions. Doug Flutie and company coming to town. The game originally scheduled for 7:30. It is a 7 o'clock start. So your ticket that says 7:30 is wrong. It is 7 o'clock.
And here comes the Rocket with a first down for the Argos. He made the catch and then grabbed about 12 yards on the run. David Shelton bringing down his man.
That's what the Argos didn't do early in the season. Get the ball to the Rocket quickly and then let him use his tremendous speed and quickness. Good block by Andrew Murray. That's a quick screen to the wide receiver, but that's easy pass to complete, and then you see all the yardage that the Rocket can pick up with his great moves.
Total gain is 16 yards, and the Argos are 1st and 10 at the Eskimo 30. Here's Dunnigan. He's been hot tonight. And looks for Darrell K. Smith, but the coverage was too tight by Enos Jackson, number 29.
Now, Enos Jackson in his 3rd year with the Edmonton Eskimos. You know, he was a wide receiver himself at Memphis State for 3 of his 4 years there. He switched to defensive back his senior year, and well, I honestly believe that helps you when you're trying to read the patterns of opposing teams. I mean, you've done that yourself, so things become a little more familiar to you quickly, and he did a great job there on Darrell Smith.
2nd and 10. The Argos just inside the Eskimo 35. Dunnigan over the middle. and has a first down to Mike Clemens. He's inside the 20. Dunnigan has been unbelievable so far.
Well, he's picking out the right guy. You know, the Edmonton Eskimos, I have no idea what they're doing in the secondary. Some of the guys are playing man, and some of the guys just aren't picking up anybody. They come with the blitz now. David Shelton, the middle safety, he has to come up and challenge Pinball, and he has not been able to get there. And Dunnigan, give him credit, he has read it every time.
18 yards the gain for Pinball Clemens. 1st and 10 for the Argos. Dunnigan looks to the end zone. No catch. Ismail was the intended receiver, and he ran out of room.
Now really a pass that I think Matt threw so far. He said, my guy is either going to make a spectacular catch or nobody's going to get to it, because actually double coverage there with Shelton coming over to help Eddie Thomas, and Mr. Rocket was out of bounds. I like this hurry-up style offense for the Argos. I mean, what a great deal of pressure you put on a defense. They can't really make their calls.
2nd and 10. Dunnigan fires quickly for Darrell K. Smith. In and out of his mitts. And it's 3rd down Argos. They'll have to settle for a field goal. The Eskimo defense has some suspect areas this season with a lot of new faces back there. Mike Walker, as mentioned, is out of the lineup tonight with a sprained ankle, but he's one of 5 injured starters who began the season as part of the Eskimo defense and are on the sidelines right now.
I think it's one of the reasons why they have given up a huge play against them in each game this year, and in their 2 losses, that's the reason why they've lost those games. They've been giving up far too many big plays, and too many new people in the lineup sometimes attributes to that.
Lance Chomek is 1 for 1, and the Argos lead it 17-7.
The edge statistically after the first quarter goes to the Argos, as does the score. 152 net yards to just 105 for Edmonton. That reflects the 17-7 scores. First quarter stats brought to you by General Motors.
Time of possession doesn't mean a thing sometimes, right?
No.
Not when you score as quickly as Dunnigan did the first time.
How about this? Argos 152 net yards, 149 of those through the air. He had a
Matt Dunnigan has had a hot hand.
Good first quarter. He's happy to be back. Just keep him healthy.
Tough for Ricky Foggy, who had a great week and a great win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders last week, was the CFL Player of the Week. But when your number 1 guy gets healthy, you got to go back to him. This is Ellis on the return. And he's to the 47. Penalty markers are down.
Chris Hayes with the shoestring.
17-yard return after a 45-yard kickoff.
Offside. Toronto number 37. Decline. First down.
You know, John, you talk about Ricky Foggy and the fact that he has played well in Matt Dunnigan's absence. I think Adam Reed has done a good job of just letting everybody know where they stand, though. Like, from day one, make no mistake, Matt Dunnigan is our number 1 quarterback. When he is healthy, he'll be number 1, no matter how well you play, Ricky. And I think it's helped them not to have any problems.
Foggy will see some action tonight, however. This is Reggie Taylor on first down. And Taylor breaks a big one. Inside the 35 and finally forced out by Ed Berry at the 24. Just what the doctor ordered for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Finally pushed out of bounds by Ed Berry, the Argos.
Some pretty good blocking up front along that left side. To your right at home, cross block. Pierre Vercheval leads. Conop with a good block. Everybody working hard. And Reggie Taylor, once he is in the open field, he is tough. Look at the receivers downfield. Craig Ellis, good block on Brazeley. There's David Williams getting a block on Pleasant. Boy, everybody working hard to try and spring him loose.
1st and 10 Eskimos at the Argo 24. Ham in trouble, and he got away again. Tracy Ham fires over the middle, man wide open. That's David Williams for the first down. Boy, he is brilliant. Tracy Ham.
I tell you, right after this game, Mike Campbell, number 99, is going to phone the Edmonton police and say, I got robbed. Because he should have had 3 sacks in the first half already. And how does Tracy Ham get away? I just don't know. He finds David Williams, and they keep this one going.
16-yard gain. The Eskimos 1st and goal to go at the Argo 9. To the end zone. Williams draws a flag. He doesn't make the catch. Reggie Pleasant was covering on David Williams. Reggie will plead his case.
Forward pass interference. Toronto number 2. First down.
Yeah, that's a good matchup down on the goal line. David Williams against Reggie Pleasant. Now, Pleasant's one of the best corners in the league, but I like that height factor. 6'4" Williams against 5'9" Pleasant. When you throw that little alley-oop pass up in the air, David Williams definitely has the advantage, and the only way that Pleasant could prevent him from scoring was to give him the grab.
The Eskimos are first and goal to go at the Argo 1. Blake Marshall has the touchdown. 7th rushing touchdown for Marshall this season. And his 10th touchdown of the year.
What a fantastic season he is having. Good block from Randy Ambrosi, the number 57, the right guard, and Blake Marshall, you know, at 6'1" and 230 pounds from a yard away, not too many times are you going to stop him unless he slips in the backfield or something. But John told you, 10 touchdowns for him in only 7 games.
The fireworks just beginning at Commonwealth in Edmonton as the Eskimos have roared back into the game on Blake Marshall's 1-yard touchdown run, set up on a 40-yard rush. Back to a 3-point ball game, 17-14. The Argos lead the Eskimos at Commonwealth tonight.
Well, you know, one of the strengths, unquestionably, in the Edmonton Eskimos' first 6 games has been the play of their offensive line. They've done a good job, for the most part, protecting Tracy Ham, but they've also done an outstanding job blocking from the run, and that, of course, is one of the reasons why Greg Marshall has 7 touchdowns on the ground this year. Reggie Taylor is second in the league in rushing. That offensive line doing a great job. I think Tracy Ham would be the first guy to tell you that. You got to be happy, John. It's been a great game.
He's been here this week pressuring Hugh Campbell to lift the blackout. John Candy has. The blackout was lifted just prior to game time tonight. On the return, Mike Clemens finds the 35. Well covered by the Eskimos special teams.
Reggie's play key roles in that drive. Taylor with the big run, Pleasant with the interference call. It sets up the 1-yard touchdown run by Blake Marshall and pulls Edmonton within 3.
Another familiar face in the crowd. His son owns part of the football team. That's Walter Gretzky. Ricky Foggy is in at quarterback for the Argos. A first down. Mike Clemens makes the catch and goes down at about the 46.
Rich Stubler, who is the defensive coordinator for the Edmonton Eskimos, sitting up here in the press box, is just saying, like, what do I have to do against these guys? I mean, they give you so many different looks, so many different formations. They won't go back in a huddle and let the defense make their calls. I mean, this is tough on the defense.
11 yards the gain on the reception by Mike Clemens. First and 10 Argos. At the 47. Foggy stands in and fires a little too high for the pinball that time.
A little too high for 5'6" Mike Pinball Clemens. Now, the pinball at the exhibition in Toronto last week went bungee jumping. And he said, now, the only reason why I did this, I'm 5'6", and he said, I figure when the bungee cord snaps me back up, he says, I may end up being about 5'9".
Yeah, be instant 5'9". Didn't work.
No.
Didn't work. Second and 10 Argos. Foggy in some difficulty. And he escapes. Ricky Foggy has a first down. Eddie Thomas forced him out. 2 pretty good running quarterbacks on the field right now.
Well, that's unbelievable. I don't know how he got away. Tracy Ham's been doing it all night. Now Ricky Foggy, he comes in the game, and watch as he comes up the middle. Everybody has a shot at him. Right here, Danny Bass, one of the best of all time. Can't wrap him up. I think it's a smart move by Adam Rita, too, giving Foggy some playing time. He's had some good games under his belt and now being rewarded. Matt Dunnigan gets a rest and Foggy gets some work.
That was part of the Argos game plan coming in.
Yep.
First down. Foggy with all kinds of time. No one is open. And Foggy is nailed. Loose ball, and the Eskimos look to have recovered. Willie Pless got to Ricky Foggy. And look who's celebrating with a football. Rob Davidson. That's his first fumble recovery of the year. Gets a start, gets a fumble.
Boy, it seems like Foggy had all day to throw, and good job downfield by the secondary to prevent him from throwing the football when he takes off. Watch from behind. Number 39, Willie Pless, will enter your screen. He comes around, bats the ball loose. 96, Rob Davidson, getting his first start as a defensive lineman in the CFL, will come up with the fumble recovery. That's the way you stop the Argonaut offense. Make them turn it over. Easier said than done.
Yes, it certainly is. First and 10. Eskimos at the 47. This is Reggie Taylor. What a run by Taylor. He outran Chris Gaines, who looked to have him locked up in the backfield, and was finally forced out by Darryl Ford.
Now, you know, people at home are probably sitting at home saying, you know, like, what's going on with these guys? Can't they tackle anybody? But, you know, I really think it is just unbelievable talent offensively tonight that's forcing all these mistakes on defense. And Chris Gaines, although he had a chance, he couldn't make the tackle. David Williams, he's giving him some help downfield, but I think it's just a great offensive play tonight, forcing all those mistakes.
23-yard gain sets the Eskimos up at the 46. First down for Tracy Ham. Again, the pressure comes, and again, Ham got away from one. Harding, but then was caught by Mike Campbell, 99.
Yeah, Mike gets rewarded finally. He's had about 3 good shots at getting Tracy Ham. Finally, that time it paid off for him. Originally a second-round draft choice of the Toronto Argonauts in 1989. You know, I remember Mike Campbell last year. He got some playing time, and he came in on short yardage. And he caught a pass against Hamilton in a short yardage situation. He scored a touchdown, had a torn hamstring, and ran all the way down the field. Showed me a lot about him with his courage.
Loss of 7, second and 17. Penalty markers are down, and Ham is forced down as well and out of bounds.
Tracy Ham running out of bounds by Darryl Ford. Flag on the play.
17-14, the Argos leading the Eskimos. And holding is the call against Edmonton.
Holding, Edmonton number 50, decline, third down.
That'll make it third and 19.
Blake Dermott, the left tackle of the Edmonton Eskimos, gets called for the hold, and they will have to give up the football. And it's the Rockets' turn back there awaiting this kick.
Ray McAreedy gets it away. The Rocket waits near his 10. Special teams playing an important role for the Eskimos tonight. Willie Pless comes up with a loose football.
That's pretty good. 2 series. Willie Pless causes a fumble and then picks up one of his own.
Eskimos threaten to take the lead, and we'll be back.
Well, you know, it's always the way. You get 2 good teams, and it's always mistakes that decide it. Rockets coughed it up a fair bit this year.
Is he?
Yeah. Is it me or is it warm in here?
It's just a little warm. It's not. The Rocket has fumbled, and the Eskimos have great field position inside the 25.
Both teams doing a great job covering kicks tonight. They have met the challenge so far in this first half. And Brian Walling, 34, down quickly to strip the ball loose. Willie Pless was there. And when you look at a game like this, both teams really on paper evenly matched. Both great offenses, good defenses. The game will really come down to who makes the most mistakes. And so far, the Argonauts turning the ball over twice. Cost himself some points down in Edmonton territory, and now turn it over in a situation where Edmonton has a great chance to capitalize with some points of their own.
Great. It's first down at the 17. The Eskimos will get points here, almost guaranteed.
A lot of guys involved with Matt Dunnigan in one way or another throughout their career. Willie Pless, of course, traded from the Argonauts to the BC Lions for Matt Dunnigan a few years ago, part of a multiplayer deal.
Tracy Ham used to stand beside or behind Matt Dunnigan when Warren Moon was the quarterback of the Eskimos.
Yeah, he did.
David Williams has the touchdown. The Eskimos have the lead. What a great play by Tracy Ham.
Sitting up here trying to be a cheerleader for the CFL, but boy, I mean, if you like action, I mean, this is the place to be. Like, Tracy Ham runs all over the field, tremendous athletic ability to buy himself time. Receivers all over the place tonight. You got the Rocket, you got Clements, Pinball, you got David Williams, Craig Ellis. I mean, it's unbelievable offensive display by two great teams.
Convert is good. Penalty marker down with 7:36 to go till halftime. A great one at Commonwealth in Edmonton as the Eskimo fire truck circles Commonwealth one more time.
Well, Tracy Ham just does an unbelievable job to get away from the pressure. He's going to get past Rodney Harding there, then Harold Hallman there with a little help on the block from Randy Ambrosi. But David Williams, you give the receivers this kind of time, they'll find an open spot. He does it. And he gets into the open, wiggles into the end zone, picks up his 6th touchdown of the year. You know, the Eskimos last year, a real problem area was their wide receivers. They had to improve that in the offseason, so they got Williams in a trade. They picked up Sandusky as free agents, and now in 7 games between them, they have 13 touchdown receptions.
Incredible that Williams fell, got up and made the catch. And watch Ham once more.
Well, that's because he runs around all day back here, Tracy Ham. And boy, the Toronto Argonauts, I tell you, in the second half, they're going to have a tired group up front chasing this guy all night. You know, he had a lot of room there to run with the football, too, but he said, no, my guys are going to work hard for me and get open, and I'll throw a touchdown. That's exactly what happened.
Couple of touchdowns.
Pretty good marks there. 4 completions, 114 yards.
The kickoff comes to Pinball Clemens. Instant field position for the Argos. The Eskimos had to kick it off from the 25 because of a penalty on the convert. To correct something I said about Ham, he was behind Matt Dunnigan on this team, but he was also behind Damon Allen.
Yeah.
Actually not behind Warren Moon in those days. Dunnigan followed Moon. Ham followed Dunnigan.
We talked about that tonight, Tracy and I, before the game, and he said, you know, it's funny, when I came here, I looked up to those guys so much, and, you know, he still does respect them, but he said, I just kept my mouth shut, and I tried to learn everything I could for the two of them, and, boy, he has been a good student, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Now Dunnigan back at the controls for the Argos. Pinball Clemens, the intended receiver. Dunnigan missed him.
Dunnigan back in the quarterback for the Argos and setting that pass for the pinball.
You know, I'm sure Adam Rita's intentions are good, and I agree with him giving Ricky Foggy some playing time. But on the other hand, I also think it's kind of tough for Matt Dunnigan to leave the football game. He had a pretty good rhythm going, then he goes out, now he comes back in, and he has to try and get it back. I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't in this kind of a situation.
Dunnigan hasn't played in 4 weeks. Dunnigan is dragged down. At the 45, the Eskimo defense showing a little spark. Willie Pless, former Argo.
All-Canadian last year with the BC Lions, 107 tackles, ranked him right up there with the league leaders, and he is having himself a whale of a football game in this first half. Caused a fumble, had a fumble recovery. And although we a little mixed up there and showed you the play before, trust me, Willie came up with the sack there, and that's his 5th sack of the season. The Eskimos relying more on their linebackers this year to come up with sacks and pressure on quarterbacks.
Hank Olisic learned how to kick right here in Edmonton. He's a 17-year-old Eskimo. This kick for the Gizmo, Henry Williams. What a great return by the Giz. We've got it all, folks.
You know, I mean, I'm just sitting back and appreciating the talent that's on the field tonight. The receivers, the quarterbacks, the kick returners, and you just have to admire how hard all these players are working tonight. And everybody trying to get a block for the Giz, and a little burst of speed right there springs him loose and gives his offense good field position. Boy, that's the name of the game with these kick returners. They give you instant field position. I mean, the whole league's like that. You got Jay Cox in Saskatchewan, Ronnie Hopkins in Calgary, and I'm sure I've missed a few, but there's some great ones out there.
31 yards for Gizmo, and Reggie Taylor breaks loose once more. That is another Eskimo first down. The running game is working to perfection tonight. You mentioned earlier, the Eskimos lead the league in rushing yardage. 260 yards a game is the average. 19 yards for Reggie Taylor there. And his average on the season is 8.6 per carry.
Well, it's not even close how far ahead they are in rushing everybody else. You know, the Eskimos, too, they're about 50-50 pass and run, and that's kind of unheard of these days in the CFL.
Taylor is caught this time and thrown to the ground by Mike Campbell.
Reggie Taylor, the ball carrier, brought down immediately by Michael Campbell.
Edmonton in the lead. It's 21-17. 5:21 till halftime at Commonwealth.
Good job by Mike Campbell. The left guard, Pierre Verchefaux, pulled on the trap block. Campbell just snuck in behind Verchefaux, got in the backfield and made the play. And boy, he's had a sack and a good tackle in the backfield. He's having himself a good first half.
2nd and 13. Ham over the middle. Sinkar has his first catch of the night, but he's well short of the first down.
Over the middle, first down on the play.
Not that far.
No, I guess you're right. Look where they're spotting it.
Marco did a nice job. He was in man-to-man with Carl Brazeley, and when you're in man-to-man, you have to work a little harder, run a little faster, and that time he took Brazeley right upfield, broke it to the inside, and got himself close enough that it's a measurement. I'd go for it. That's a long yard, but with Blake Marshall and that short yardage offense, I'd try and stuff it right down their throats.
Might be a pretty good call, Marshall. One touchdown tonight, 7 along the ground for the season. Leroy Blue is in at offensive end position.
Yeah, the toaster, Brett Williams, he comes in too for a little added punch up front. It's a long yard, though.
3rd and 1. The Eskimos inside the Argo 40. Some early movement. Flags are down. Marshall has it easily. See what caused the offside. Rodney Harding moved early.
Flags down on the play. Should be a first down.
4:34 to the half.
Offside. Toronto number 99. Declined. First down.
99 is Mike Campbell. Eskimos, 1st and 10 at the Argo 32. And escapes once more. Great play by Ed Berry.
Pass intended for Marco Sinkar.
Sinkar was the intended receiver. Ed Berry got a hand on it.
Boy, it's unbelievable how Tracy Ham just buys himself so much time. You know, you look at the Doug Flutys and the Damon Allens and guys like that around the league, but no question, Tracy Ham has to be, in my opinion, the best at doing that. Great peripheral vision. He's able to see the sackers coming at him. He zipped around Brian Warren there. Watch the left of your screen and watch the move right there. Sees Warren gets to the outside where his sight lines are good downfield, but Barry made a great play.
This will be 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos at the Argo 32. 4 receivers to the near side. And gets pursuit from behind. The Giz has the catch. Dave Van Bellingham made the tackle, but what a catch by Henry Williams. 16 yards.
Well, he paid the price. He took a pretty good shot from Dave Van Bellingham, but that's this ace formation. They bring the Giz in. They take Reggie Taylor out to add a little extra punch to that receiving core, and oh man.
He had to leap 3 feet off the ground.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. You know, the good teams have their guys make the key and critical catches for them, and Well, you see that with the Calgary Stampeders and the BC Lions, and of course with the Edmonton Eskimos and the Argonauts.
1st and 10 for the Eskimos at the 15. Sandusky is roughed up, but he doesn't get a call. Reggie Pleasant covering on Jim Sandusky.
See, Reggie Pleasant's smart. He's working the official too, saying, hey, look, you know, Sandusky's pushing off me and pushing and grabbing me, so, you know, it's Reggie's working the officials a little bit there too. That's smart. You never know. It's a human nature thing out there. If Reggie Pleasant yells enough too, he may get a call the other way one time. Although I think it's mostly Reggie Pleasant.
Yeah, I think Reggie was doing the roughing up.
Yeah, but he's smart. Like, he's working that guy out there to try to get the favorable call later on.
3-minute warning is up at Commonwealth in Edmonton, where the Eskimos lead it by 4.
Coming up at halftime, the gang back at TSN Control will bring us up to date on the world of sports. Between the Lines takes a look at marketing the Argos with all these bright stars. They've got lots of options, and John and Leith will be by with analysis and highlights of a pretty entertaining first half.
Have you got your highlights prepared, partner?
Well, I tell you, there's a lot to choose from. So let's set the stage here. The Edmonton Eskimos, 2nd and 10. They will again go to what they refer to as an ace formation. Reggie Taylor is out. Henry the Gizmo Williams is in. It's a lot of firepower.
1st and 10, or 2nd and 10, I should say, at the 15 with 3:03 to play till halftime. 3 receivers to the far side, 2 to the near side this time. Ham with all kinds of options, gets pressure, unloads, touchdown. 2nd of the night for David Williams. Eskimos get 2 touchdowns in a row.
Well, not a good place to run a zone defense, but that's what the ace formation with the extra receiver did. It forced Toronto to play a soft zone coverage that allowed David Williams to just go down about 9 yards, turnaround hook, easy pass to complete, and he comes up with his 2nd touchdown. But, you know, the offense really dictated the coverage that Edmonton, or that Toronto would play, and of course the Eskimo offense took advantage of it. Not a good place to play zone down on the goal line. You got to come up and pressure those receivers. That's pretty easy for David Williams.
2 touchdowns tonight.
Yeah, he's telling all the guys on the bench how I did it. See, I kind of zigged over here and zigged over there when all he did was go down, stop, turn around, catch it, and then sneak and get that 6'4" frame across the goal line.
Just beat Ed Berry across the line, but he was down to the 1.
You know, how many times have you heard that offenses say, well, we're going to take what the defense gives us? But tonight, offenses are dictating what the defense is playing. It's kind of a different turnaround.
The Argos had the lead early. Scored first. The Eskimos came back to tie things up at 7, and the Argos moved into a 14-7 lead, and actually led 17-7 at one stage, but the Eskimos have come back and now lead at 28-17. Adam Rita hopes the Argos get a big return here.
The one turnover really has changed the complexion of this game around. The Rocket Ismail fumbled punt.
The pinball surrounded. But it takes a lot to bring him down. There are 5 Eskimos on top of Pinball Clemens. An 8-yard return after a 53-yard kickout.
Tracy Ham does it again and does it quickly. Just a minute and a half to go, 7 plays and 65 yards, and David Williams gives Edmonton an 11-point lead.
The injured Argonaut is Keith Costello.
You know, we talked about Mike McCarthy early in some of the moves that he made in the offseason to strengthen the Toronto Argonauts. Let's not forget Hugh Campbell and the kind of moves that he has made with the Eskimos. Not only did he get a good coach in Ron Lancaster that really fits the mold and image of the Eskimos. I mean, they made some great moves to get guys like Sandusky and David Williams and Willie Pless. They signed him as a free agent, so they really strengthened their team. They have good depth in that secondary, some guys that have come in and done the job in critical situations with injuries. So the Eskimos, too, have really strengthened themselves in 1991. Gord?
Well, when we left Les Taylor Field in Regina, the Riders were leading 14-3. They've had a lot of scoring since. Ken Austin hooked up with Willis Jaycox for a touchdown. Matt Clark has a pair of touchdown receptions. It's 24-20 late in the second quarter.
Here it's Matt Dunnigan on target for the Rocket, and he can fly. Ismail will score. How about that? Argos answer quickly. An 80-yard pass and run by the Rockets.
Well, that's what the people came to see. I'm sure they came here to see the Eskimos win, but they also had the curiosity factor to come and see this man, Raghib Ismail, and what could he do when he caught the football. And he shows you right here. A good block by Andrew Murray, but the rest is pure rocket.
Pure rocket.
It is pure rocket. I mean, that's 4.2 speed in the 40, and no one is. I mean, the only guy that had a chance to catch him was Jeff Boyd. He was the closest guy. Well, you fans at home and you fans at the park, you're getting your money's worth tonight. And
looks like the Blues Brothers.
The owner is too. Yeah, that's Brett Gallagher along with John Candy. He's director of promotions for the Argonauts.
So the Argos right back in this. The Eskimos leading by 4. Not bad numbers.
Yeah, he's emerging. Each week he's getting more and more comfortable, and you know, he gets to atone for a bit of a mistake early. I think it was his fumbled punt that really changed the complexion of the game, but now he has changed it around in a hurry with this great speed. I mean, that is raw speed. Look at Eddie Thomas. He's fast, and he can't get a sniff there.
He's losing a stride every 5 yards.
Yeah. This is the way Matt likes to do it. I only have to throw the ball out in the flat and I get a touchdown out of it. Looks good on my numbers. Add 80 yards to my passing total for the night.
And he threw a 6-yard pass, right?
And then I just get to walk downfield and watch my guy do it all.
Well, they've got John Candy down there, Leif, on the Eskimo fire wagon. Greg Ellis on the return.
Look at this.
Kurt Browning, John Candy.
I thought he was a center. He's a quarterback. He was a center at Michael Power in Toronto.
Yeah, blew out a knee and finished his football career, right?
John Candy attempts the pass.
He's a great guy. And is he working hard? Barnstorming the league, promoting it, trying to make it better. Carl Braisley, the injured Toronto Argonaut, and there's the Rocket.
I don't think there's been a better example of his speed since he came up to the Canadian Football League than right there.
You know, John, I remember watching a game a few years ago back in 1989, and Notre Dame was playing a very highly ranked Michigan team, and in that game Notre Dame upset them 24-19. Now the Rocket took 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, 189 and 192 yards, and not only was that significant, it helped the Irish beat the Michigan Wolverines, but it had been 32 years since a kickoff return had been scored against Michigan, and the Rocket got 2 in that particular game. Tonight, explosive power shown again. Hey, I mean, no question, he could do it all. 2-time All-American.
Was Bo coaching at the time?
Bo was coaching.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been a happy chickadee.
Well, you know, take that story just a little bit further. Rocket's the only man in NCAA history to ever score 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns in 2 different games.
Carl Braisley injured here. Maybe you can see it.
Yeah, it looks like he pulled a hamstring there as he was trying to accelerate, and boy, they can ill afford to lose Carl Braisley from that. Secondary as a group leading the league in interceptions at this stage of the season with 15, and Carl Braisley's chipped in a couple of himself, 1 for a touchdown, but he has been he's kind of the steadying force back there. He's been around the league for 11 seasons, and the fellow they call affectionately CB, that does not look good.
So the Argos will have to shift that secondary around.
Well, Dave Bellingham, number 17, who was a spot starter last year at the middle safety, comes in, and he will play the halfback spot.
And Tracy Ham is licking his lips right now.
Well, I'd test him early. I mean, I'd go after him.
1st and 10 Eskimos at the 49. Ham to the far side. That's Reggie Taylor. Taylor got away and got the first down. He's having some kind of night.
Which appears to be a first down, and it is.
What I like about both receiving corps is they really work hard downfield for the running backs and other receivers that have caught the football. Gibbs took on and tried to make a block on Darryl Ford there, but we've seen David Williams do that tonight, and well, it's really nice to see. All the guys working really hard to make that offense click.
1st and 10, Ham escapes once more. He's been incredible.
Well, you know what you're seeing more and more now is the Argo front four is taking longer and longer to get up off the ground after they've chased Tracy Ham around. Once again, he's able to break contain, and Harold Hallman, number 70, is doing a lot of chasing. There you see Leonard Johnson, number 90. He is in the football game now. He was the designated import, but with the injury to Brazeley, he comes in. But the guys are, I mean, we haven't played a half yet, and that Argonaut front four is getting tired.
2:02 to halftime. It's 28-24. The Eskimos leading the Argos. Top two offenses in the CFL hooking up tonight at Commonwealth in Edmonton.
Looks like Rodney Harney is the injured ball player for the Argonauts.
I think that is Leonard Johnson, number 90, who's the injured Argonauts. He just came in and on his very first play. He incidentally came over in that trade that sent John Kangemi to the Ottawa Rough Riders. They picked up Brian Warren, Leonard Johnson, and Dean Dorsey. Not bad, 3-for-1 deal.
Couple of injuries to the Argos in the last couple of minutes. Brazeley went out just a few moments ago.
Check that, Leonard Johnson shaken up on the play.
So into the final 2 minutes of the half, with the Eskimos picking up another first down on a 12-yard run by Tracy Ham. Edmonton leads by 4. As Ham sets up and throws deep. This for Sandusky. Covered by Barry. Nice defensive play.
That was a great defensive play. You know, Ed Barry is a very competent gymnast, and you watch at the end of this play how he uses some of that athletic ability to get up in the air. Sandusky tries to give him the little subtle push at the end, but Barry's strong enough in the upper body to resist that push and get up and get a hand on the ball.
It is 2nd and 10 Edmonton at the Argo 37. Big pressure on Ham. He got it away. Sinkar couldn't bring it down, just a little high.
Tracy Ham trying to put the pass to Michael Sinkar in the middle. Time ball with the hurry for the Argonauts.
Well, the blitz was coming. Ham saw it, but he had to let the ball get away just a little before he wanted to. Straight up the middle, the pressure comes, and there's Darryl Ford and Donnie Moan. Boy, that's what the Argonauts need. They're not getting it from the front four. They want to get some sacks tonight. It's going to have to be with that linebacking core.
Ray McAreedy is in. Longest on the season is 46 yards. This from the 44. And it's wide. Don Wilson will give up a single point. And the Eskimos lead it by 5.
Sets up an interesting observation, I think, at this point. Ray McAreedy, no question, he has struggled so far in 1991. Now, in a few weeks, he is going to go off to York University in Toronto, and he's in a program that he's going to go to school and then come back and kick on the weekends. Now, I mean, as a head coach, I'm not sure I'd like that. In fact, he leaves tomorrow to enroll at York University in Toronto. As a head coach, well, I don't know. I don't like that. And there are some guys available. I mean, not to start the rumor mill, but...
Well, you've started it. Who's
Jerry
available?
Corrick has just been released from the NFL. He was a kicker here for a long time. Dean Dorsey is still kicking around, so to speak. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not suggesting anything, but as a head coach, I'm not sure I'd like that situation.
You might want to go away to school with better numbers. Here's Matt Dunnigan looking long for Darrell K. Smith, and he looked a little too far.
Darrell Smith, I don't think, has caught a pass yet in this football game. Darrell Smith still looking for his first catch tonight, yeah. Well, Ronnie Lancaster said, like, what they wanted to do was to try and take either Pinball or Darrell Smith, one of the two, out of every play. Now, it might be Smith in one play and Pinball the next, but so far tonight, they have really nullified DK.
2nd and 10 for Dunnigan and the Argos at the 37. This is the Rocket. And he stopped short of the first down, not for lack of trying, however. Mark Mathis got a hold of the Rocket and held on.
Yeah, Mathis did a great job. I mean, that has to be scary. You know, guy catches a hitch pass in the open field, and you got to come up and make the tackle.
Argos will kick it away. The gain is 8 yards. It is 3rd and 2.
Talked to Mathis and Eddie Thomas before the game and asked them, you know, their feelings on playing against the Rocket. Both of them kind of sloughed it off and just said, well, it's just another game. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Hank Olisic at the Argo 30. And Henry Williams waits. He won't get a play this time. Out at the 38.
The tag team match going at center field there.
That Leroy Blue.
Yeah.
Hank, well, you know, out of bounds, 25-yard punt.
Kent Austin's been a busy man at Taylor Field. His 4th touchdown pass goes to Don Narcisse, who covers 4 yards and gives the Riders a 31-20 halftime lead.
Some heat on the Saskatchewan Roughriders for their showing so far this season, but without Kent Austin, it is a vastly different football game, as that score would indicate tonight. He's got 4 touchdown tosses.
Oh, boy.
Returning to the lineup.
We got 53 points scored already in this half. They got 51 in Regina.
That was Blake Marshall. Another Eskimo first down. Edmonton leading 29-24.
Boy, has he ever blossomed into an all-round running back. He's probably having his best year so far rushing with the football. No, he's a fullback, and he averages almost 7 yards a carry. And his blocking has been impeccable for Reggie Taylor, and catching has been good. He has really matured.
First down for Tracy Ham. And open. Greg Ellis will score. A 51-yard touchdown for Craig Ellis.
Well, it took Craig Ellis a while to catch his first pass of the night, but he made the most of it. And guess who they went after? Dave Van Bellingham, who came in for the injured Carl Brazeley. There's Craig Ellis. He now has a 92 consecutive game pass catching streak going.
That's some kind of record.
Yeah, it really is.
51 yards there for Craig Ellis. The Eskimos add 7 more to their lead.
Well, 60 points so far scored in this first half. Maybe your words at the beginning were prophetic that we may set a new total point record for a single game tonight. Nice call. Roll to the wide side of the field, throw back to the short side, and Craig Ellis, matchup that I think is very desirable for the Eskimos on Dave Van Bellingham. He is a backup, getting some duty at the halfback spot with the injury to Brazeley, and Tracy Ham. 3rd touchdown pass of the night. 4th touchdown pass. 2 to Williams, 1 to Sandusky, and now 1 to Craig Ellis. Craig Ellis, the forgotten man in this offense for the first half.
And he was the leading receiver last year. Big numbers for Tracy Ham already.
He's my guy.
Next Wednesday here in Commonwealth, and we have a halftime score in from Regina right now.
Greg will be happier now. He's probably getting a little grumpy waiting this long to catch his first of the night.
But look at the way the Eskimos have spread their receiving around. Williams coming in at 21 catches. Craig Ellis had 22. Sandusky had 20. Reggie Taylor had 11, and Blake Marshall had 20. On the return, Mike Clemens is out near the 50.
Mike Clemens,
36 seconds till the half.
Guess what?
Mike McQuaid and Dan Murphy making the tackle.
Craig Ellis needed 51 yards in receiving tonight to reach the 6,000-yard plateau for his career. He got it just perfectly. See, Craig's a neat kind of guy, very orderly, has his whole life in order. So he said, well, I'm going to do it right on the button so it comes up on your screen, looks nice. 6 with about 3 zeros attached to it.
That's all right.
Great milestone for Craig Ellis.
He is a former Argo.
Saskatchewan Rough Rider, Miami Dolphin.
First down, Dunnigan pumps once, gets it to Rocket, can't hang on. There wasn't much room for Rocket to run there, however.
Trying to swing the pass out to Rocky now.
Well, the defense is having a good look at this quick screen to the wide receiver. They've seen it about 4 times tonight now. It's a great way to get him the ball quickly. That time they could not connect with the time before they did for 80 yards. And it was a touchdown. 60 points in the first half. Not bad.
32 seconds remaining in that half. Dunnigan on 2nd and 10 for the Argos. Carries himself. He's across midfield. He's short of the first down. Danny Bass coming up to put the stop on his former teammate. 8 yards for Matthew.
Larry Ruck did the nice job to force Matt Dunnigan back to the inside where he could get some help, and then of course Danny Bass made the tackle. So with 22 seconds left, the Argos will gamble, and this is a pretty good gamble. I'm going to let the clock run right down though.
3rd and 2 Argos are going for it.
Should be the last play, maybe not the last play. They get it to Rocket again, and he is stopped short of the first down as well by Mathis.
Boy, that's going to be close. You know, they send Andrew Murray out to try and get the quick block on Mark Mathis to spring the Rocket, but watch how Mathis, well, he knifes right underneath the block, makes the tackle. That's a great defensive play, and he might be rewarded in keeping Toronto short of that first down marker.
It's close.
Turn the ball over on down.
6 seconds left till the half. Now will McAreedy get another crack at a field goal? He's out of range right now. The ball spotted at the Edmonton 51.
This is going to be tough. They have to go at least 15 or so yards. Hit the quick one, call a quick timeout. I'd say it's a tall order.
Two receivers downfield. Williams and Williams. No one made the catch, and that is halftime in Edmonton. Great ball game cooking with the Eskimos out in front, 36-24.
A good old-fashioned shootout brewing at Commonwealth Stadium, where Edmonton leads 36-24 after 30 minutes. There were several major developments for the Argos in the offseason. Of course, the signing of the Rocket was one, the new ownership was another. But that was just the beginning. After getting all the big names, the Argos had to go to work putting some people in the seats.
We're thrilled about the opportunity to join the CFL and the Toronto Argonauts with their great history and tradition. We've thought for a long time that this would be an opportunity for us all to be involved more in Toronto.
Fortunately or unfortunately, we had to start from nothing. You know, there was nothing in place of any consequence for us. So we really had to be aggressive. We had to get on the map. I think our first acquisition of the Rocket was our first major piece of marketing.
I think the Rocket, by going to Toronto, first of all, brings a lot to the Canadian Football League. McNall has made a commitment to the Canadian Football League.
I think they understand what our goals are here, which is not just a competitive edge with the Toronto Argonauts. That's obviously an aspect that goes without saying when you have a player of this caliber, but it's much deeper than that for us. It has to do with the league, it has to do with an identity, an awareness, things like that.
I think Rocket was the light that drew people's eye to what we had here. But I think more and more people take a look at Mike Clemens, Pinball Clemens, and Darrell K. Smith, and our quarterback Mac Dunnigan, and a lot of other guys on the team, and they realize we have some very fine athletes that can provide great entertainment on the field.
Mike Clemens, and Clemens finds the end zone. Touchdown, Argos.
The blackout. How important was that? Oh, it was critical. That was one of our bargaining chips. That has to go. That has to go. You can't do that. I'm a punk. I hate being told you can't watch that. Unless you come down, you can't watch it. I won't watch them. I won't go down. Forget it. I won't go down. I want the option. I want the option. And that's what we're doing, and it's working in Ottawa, it worked in Regina, it worked in Vancouver.
I call him the blackout buster. Wherever we go as a team, and when John comes with us, we always lift the blackout. He has put in so much time, not only for this club, but for the CFL. I can't tell you. He's put on a schedule every 2 days before the game that I don't know how he does it. When he comes into the stadium, all he has to do is wave to one side of the stadium and the whole place stands up. The halftime entertainment has, certainly in our first game, when the Blues Brothers, you couldn't beat that. Dan Aykroyd was outstanding up there, and Jimmy Belushi and Mariel Hemingway. You'll never get something repeated. There was magic in the air that night. But by making it as entertaining as possible, we think that's a big part of the success.
Anything else? Anything up your sleeve, like for down the road? Oh, there's a lot of things we got up the road.
There could be a Schmingy Fest here for Oktoberfest, so look out for October. The Schmingis might come out of retirement. Maybe. Maybe they won't.
Edmonton leads it by 12 with another half to come here at Commonwealth Stadium. 8 touchdowns scored in the first half, 7 of them through the air. Plenty of first half highlights for John and Lee.
All right, Gordon, it started very early. The Argos get a touchdown in 2 plays.
Yeah, Mike Clemens capped it off, 2 plays, quick drive. But, the nice thing for Edmonton, they answered it immediately themselves with their own drive. And Jim Sandusky, initially the good move to get around Reggie Pleasant. I think they just forgot about him back there, and he hauled in the long touchdown pass, his 7th of the season, and they tied it up early, 7-7.
Now, the difference in the first half might be the fumble by the Rocket right here.
It really was. It turned the game around. The Rocket fumbles right here. Willie Pless is able to come up with the recovery after Brian Walling stripped it loose, and that turned out to be a big play because they capped it off on the turnover with the David Williams touchdown pass. Now, Tracy Ham scrambled all over the field, and Williams, although he fell down in the end zone, he was able to get up, find an open spot, wave at Tracy and say, "Give it to me," and that was his first of 2 touchdowns on the night, and at that point they went ahead 21-17.
But the Rocket got even, and this was a great play.
Yeah, it really was. He got a nice block from Andrew Murray right there, and then it is pure Rocket. Lots of fuel loaded up there, and he is off and running. No one will catch him. No one on this planet may catch him except Carl Lewis, but he gets down to the end zone, and 80 yards later, he has a touchdown. Nice numbers for him. 6 catches, 174 yards. Not bad.
Now, Craig Ellis started the game 51 yards shy of 6,000 receiving, and he gets it on 1 catch right here.
Yeah, 51 right here. He gets in behind Dave Van Bellingham, who was pressed into duty to replace the injured Carl Bracely. Ellis keeps his consecutive pass-catching streak alive at 92 games with a great touchdown. He was only his first catch of that half. They haven't used him much, but, you look at total offense. Edmonton, 352 for a half. Toronto, 314 for a half. I mean, what do they have left for the second half?
I don't know. We've had 60 points here. Maybe the CFL record will fall tonight. The Edmonton Eskimos currently leading the Toronto Argonauts. It's 36-24. And halftime is over at Commonwealth in Edmonton. Just like the song says, we've had it all in the first half at Commonwealth in Edmonton. The Eskimos Eskimos look to defend the lead they have built up at 36-24. The Argos will kick off. This is Craig Ellis starting at his 10. He's out across the 30 to the 32. Stop there by Don Wilson. Gordon.
Well, did they shoot the lights out in the first half? 314 net yards for the Argos, 352 for Edmonton, and lots of defenders left in the dust. I can't wait to see the second half.
Turnovers, the difference in the ball game as it stands right now.
Well, it got Edmonton back into it early, and J.P. Esquerdo working the kick-cover teams. I think both teams have done a super job so far tonight. Nice play to spin off the block and get back in and help out on that tackle.
1st and 10 for the Eskimos. They begin the drive at the 32 with 3 receivers to the near side. Ham dumps it off to the far side of the field for Blake Marshall. When he gets up ahead of steam, he usually gets a first down.
And he's not much fun to tackle. Blake Marshall, 6'1", 230 pounds. The quarterbacks in the game tonight have had pretty good first halves. Matt Dunnigan, there you see his number, 3 touchdowns. Tracy, 7 touchdowns between the 2 quarterbacks. Unbelievable. Ricky Foggy also got some playing time, and there you see Matt on the sidelines.
13 yards for Blake Marshall. First down for the Eskimos, now at the Edmonton 44. Reggie Taylor found a small hole to squeeze through.
Reggie Taylor for about a 3-yard gain on that.
3 yards.
Chris James again in on the tackle for the Argos. We'll make it second and third, Eskimos.
An exciting week. He's been looking forward to this game all week. Eskimos are hot. Ham on target to Craig Ellis, second catch of the night. His first went for a touchdown.
On the play. Don Wilson with a tackle for the Argos.
Kent Austin for mayor in Regina. He's thrown his 5th touchdown pass, his 2nd to Ray Elgard, and the Riders lead 38-20 in the 3rd.
You got to have a quarterback to play this game, don't you? Austin missed 4 games.
Boy, it sure helps. It'll help the fans in Regina, too. They say, well, there was nothing wrong with the team. All we had to do was get Austin back, and we're back on track.
Another 13-yard gain for the Eskimos. Another first down, and a flag flies. Ham got it to Blake Marshall. And Marshall crashes inside the 40 to about the 35. But it may come back.
I think it will. Tracy Ham pulled away from the center, and Rod Conop did not give him the football, and he induced the Toronto Argonaut front 4 to come offside, and they will be called undoubtedly for illegal procedure. Boy, Blake Marshall had a good hit with Ed Berry, didn't he?
Procedure, Edmonton number 8, first down repeated.
And it'll be 1st and 15. Here's a look.
It'll be 1st and 15.
Yeah, you can't do that.
From midfield.
I think it's worth noting that Carl Braisley pulled a hamstring late in the 2nd quarter. He obviously is not returning to the game. Dave Van Bellingham, number 17, is in playing the halfback spot, and that's an area I would think Edmonton would attack.
Ham is surrounded, and he's down. Darryl Ford got there first. Number 21. Number 1 tackler in the CFL right now, with 41 coming into the game.
Well, his 2nd sack of the season, too. There you see him. He initially overruns the play, but he's able to recover and get back. And he really has been Mr. Everything for the Toronto defense, a defense that ranks number 1 in the CFL. Is 2 sacks. He has an interception. He's the lead leader, as John just mentioned, in tackles. And, well, I don't know what more you could do. He was in his 2nd year from New Mexico State, and he is really an up-and-coming young linebacker in our league.
2nd and 17. Ham with all kinds of time. No receivers available. Now he finds one. Marco Sincar.
Well, it must be so frustrating for the Toronto Argonauts to just constantly chase Tracy Ham around and around. They're coming with the blitz to try and get some extra pressure. They just don't get there. And boy, if you give these receivers that amount of time, they'll undoubtedly get open time after time. And Marco Sidcar picked up a nifty 23-yard gain right there.
Tracy Ham has used all of his available receivers tonight. Spread it around, got to Craig Ellis a little late.
Smart quarterback, keep them all happy.
Well, he spread it around pretty well all season long. It's Rodney Harding, number 77 for the Argos, shaken up, 7th year out of Oklahoma State. The Argos have had some key injuries tonight.
Well, Rodney Harding, in his career, he's enjoyed some tremendous games against the Edmonton Eskimos. He set an Argo Club record way back in 1988 against the Edmonton Eskimos when he had 5 sacks in one game. We hope he is all right and will be back in. He's caught the injury bug a lot of this season. He's missed a number of games, and tonight his first back after missing, I believe, 3 games.
3 games. Lions aren't done yet, Gord.
Climbing back in it, guys. Jay Christensen caught a 12-yard touchdown pass from Doug Flutie, and the lead has been now cut to 11 points in the 3rd quarter.
Boy, the slot backs in that game having a great night. Christensen with 1, Matt Clark a couple, Elgard a couple, and Jeff Fairholm 6 touchdowns between the slot backs in that football game. So you like a lot of action. Stay tuned.
Tracy Ham has the Eskimos on a march. Edmonton in the lead at 36-24. They have come back on the Argos. He started rather quickly. 1st and 10. Edmonton just inside the Argo 35. Good fake by Ham. The running room to the far side, and he throws the cornerback over there. Or the halfback, rather, Don Wilson. 11 yards for Ham, another Eskimo first down.
Great call by Tracy Ham. He absolutely fools Brian Warren. Watch how they fake the trap to Reggie Taylor right there. There goes Warren. Now he's around and outside. He really wants to hit Sandusky, but Ed Berry did a good job jamming Sandusky downfield, and nevertheless, Tracy Ham still able to pick up 11 yards on the run.
Did you see the way he slowed down there just for a split second? Throws number 20, Don Wilson, and was able to pick up the first down. The Eskimos 1st and 10 at the Argo 23 now. This is Reggie Taylor. Taylor has a first down. He's inside the 10.
You know, I said to Ron Lancaster before the game, what a test. I mean, you've got a great rushing team, and the Toronto Argonauts are very good at preventing the run, 2nd in the league. Ronnie said, I don't care how good they are. We can feel like we can run against these guys, and they have. Pierre Vercheval leading that play around the corner, pulling from the left guard, and boy, all the guys just doing a great job to open some huge holes for Reggie Taylor and Blake Marshall.
Over 100, Reggie Taylor. The Eskimos 1st and goal to go at the Argo 8. This is Taylor, touchdown. First rushing touchdown of the season for Reggie Taylor, and that's a little hard to believe. An 8-yard TD, and the Eskimos pad their lead.
Well, as this is the first game of our CFL week number 7, Reggie Taylor, of course, moved into the league in the rushing derby ahead of Robert Mims now. Good block by number 50, Blake Dermott, comes all the way from the left tackle spot, and slowly the Edmonton Eskimo offensive line is starting to dominate this football game, as they have in a number of football games this year, and really an unsung group on this team as those 5 guys up front doing a tremendous job blocking for the running backs.
Ray McAready adds the point after, and the Eskimos have taken control by a bunch. It's 43-24, and it's up to Matt Dunnigan to get the Argos back when we return. The Argos have fallen 19 points behind the Edmonton Eskimos. It's 43-24 inside Commonwealth Stadium, and what a great view it is tonight with a big crowd on hand to see our game of the week in Edmonton. What a vantage point.
Glad it's not me up there holding that camera.
Ready for the Eskimo kickoff, and the Argos could use a big return here from the rocket or pinball. McAready is ready. comes this kick. Pinball calls for it. At the 27. Good coverage upfield by the Eskimos. That special teams matchup, Jed Roberts, number 43, leading the tacklers.
Nothing more than hard work here for Jed Roberts, the son of former tight end with the Ottawa Rough Riders, Jay Roberts. You might recall his name. And let's have a look at this young fellow as he works really hard, gets by Jim Kardash initially. Nice balance and spin. Then he gets by the Rocket and makes the tackle. I mean, that is great work, isn't it?
Limited the gain to 9 yards on the return.
A couple of good young Canadians working those special teams. Jed Roberts with a super play.
The Argos now 1st and 10. Dunnigan begins at his 34. With a pitch to the Rocket. Trying the near side. And Ismail is close to a first down. He's to the 45. Nice run in heavy traffic.
Well, after all that passing in the first half, the Eskimos get it done on the ground. A couple of scrambles by Tracy Ham, and it's capped off by an 8-yard run from Reggie Taylor.
It's hard to believe it took him 7 games to get his first rushing touchdown of the year. A guy who's leading the league in rushing. Kind of surprising.
They'll measure the Rockets' success. It is a first down. 9:28 to play, third quarter. Edmonton leading 43-24.
Argonauts ball on their own 45.
This is a pretty important series for the Toronto Argonauts. We're almost at the halfway point of the third quarter, down by 19. They have to try and get themselves back in this thing.
Some heat on Dunnigan from the toaster, and he's picked out by Enos Jackson. Jackson got away from a tackle by Pinball, and the Eskimos have their 4th turnover of the night. Big pressure on Dunnigan forced the interception, and the Eskimos have the ball back once more. Another costly turnover for the Toronto Argonauts. Matt Dunnigan intercepted by Enos Jackson.
Well, you know, the Eskimos coming into this game were -5 in the takeaway giveaway category. I mean, that's unheard of for the Eskimo team. Well, they have 4 turnovers that they have created tonight, get them back to -1, and Enos Jackson comes up with his first interception of the season. That's been a problem area for the Eskimos. Last in that category, but there you heard Enos tell you that was his first, and he did a great job to make that interception.
Dunnigan, in fairness, gets a little pressure here. First from the outside from the toaster. Then he gets crunched by Larry Ruck.
The toaster's trimmed down, you know. He's down to about 248 pounds. He played at over 260 last year. He said he's lost the weight to add a little more quickness. He's expected to be more of a rush end this year than a defensive tackle.
Eskimos convert another first down. Ham to Ellis. A familiar combination. And down near the Argo 45.
And the one injury to the Argonaut secondary is really hurting them. Braisley out, Van Bellingham in, and that's where they are going. Tracy Ham to Craig Ellis, covered by Dave Van Bellingham. There is Carl Braisley, and I would doubt whether he would be back tonight. He looked like he really had a problem with that hamstring in the second quarter.
From the 44, Edmonton 1st and 10. Reggie Taylor caught in the backfield. Harold Hallman leading the Argo defense to Reggie Taylor that time. Lost at least 4, maybe 5.
Well, if you have defensive linemen that are extremely quick, like a Harold Hallman, sometimes on the trap you can sneak in behind the guard or tackle that's pulling, and in that case, Harold Hallman snuck in behind Randy Ambrosi and made a super play.
2nd and 15. And the Eskimos are unable to get a first down. Sinkar made the catch. Don Wilson made the tackle. And Edmonton will kick it away.
And I think that tackle hurt Marco Sinkar. Donnie Wilson, one of the more physical defensive backs in the league, a good size at 6'2", 195 pounds. You know, he had some great years with the Edmonton Eskimos here, and that one hurt Marco Sinkar. You could see when he got up off the ground that he had taken a pretty good hit from Wilson.
So the turnover doesn't cost any points, but it will cost the Argos field position. No return for Pinball Clemens. Following the game, tonight's TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass.
Flag on the play.
Apple
the pick of the crop.
Before it spreads and really costs you, get Apple's guaranteed stone chip windshield repairs. Just call
Apple Auto Glass.
the pick of the crop.
The Argos being penalized and forced a little farther back into Toronto territory. Dunnigan will begin at the 10. 7:34 to go in the third quarter. The Eskimos lead the Argonauts 43-24. Toronto, the #1 scoring team in the country so far this season, averaging 41 points a game. Dunnigan down the side for Boyd. And it wasn't close. Enos Jackson was covering.
Edmonton doing a better job in the second half at mixing their coverages up. That time to the short side of the field, they kept the corner, Eddie Thomas, up close to cover the short flat, and then Enos Jackson picked up Jeff Boyd deep. Dunnigan, pretty good time to throw there, but good coverage downfield by Enos Jackson. He's had himself a good half, had an interception on the last series.
Play selection somewhat limited where the Argos begin this drive. It is 2nd and 10 now. Dunnigan started with an extremely hot hand. He has cooled a little bit in the second and third quarters so far. On the run. Dunnigan has a first down. Darrell Smith figuring in the reception.
Boy, it took him a long time to get his first catch of the night. Darrell K. Smith, much needed catch on 2nd and 10, and boy, he took a good shot from number 89, Leroy Blue. I think he felt that one too. Leroy Blue, three-time.
Edmonton, decline, first down.
Leroy Blue, I was going to say, a three-time All-Canadian at Bishop's University, and expected to really be an up-and-comer with this Edmonton team, getting a chance to start at that. He's listed as a linebacker, but trust me, he's a rush end.
13-yard gain for Dunnigan and the Argos. A little breathing room out near the 20. Now Dunnigan looks long once more for the rocket, double coverage, and it's picked off. David Shelton.
Dunnigan's pass intercepted by Eddie Thomas and David Shelton. David Shelton finally coming up with the ball.
You know what, that's the second time that Matt Dunnigan's been fooled by the coverage in the second half. Once again throwing into the zone. Let's have a look at the rocket from up top, high above the stadium, and you'll see he is indeed behind Eddie Thomas, but what Dunnigan doesn't see is that David Shelton is coming over from the middle safety spot. He gets the interception, his second of the year, and the Edmonton defense that started off a little bit shaky in the first quarter has really tightened it down here.
5th turnover given up by the Argos. 1st and 10 for Ham. Trying to get away from Harding and does. Short of the first down, stopped near the 45. There's a penalty marker down.
Ham with about a 6-yard gain on the play. Up in stands, there's a flag on the play.
Gain looks close to 6. Eskimos pretty excited about the play of Eddie Thomas with 3 interceptions on the season, 2 last week, including 1 for a touchdown against Ottawa.
Holding, Toronto number 44, first down.
You know, you talk about Eddie Thomas. We've talked about changes Edmonton made. Well, they replaced their 2 corners from last year, Andre Francis and Keith Gooch for the corners. Now, of course, Roy Bennett started the season there. He's injured, but Eddie Thomas and Mark Mathis, for the most part, have done a great job. A lot of changes on this Edmonton team.
A new look, 1st and 10 for Ham. For Blake Marshall. Marshall with a head of steam. Oh, who was that poor guy? At the 45, Marshall cracked into Van Bellingham.
You know, we've talked about this before. You know, there's guys like Wilson Jones who are 240 pounds and some other fullbacks around that would like to, you know, go around you and maybe try and use some good, quick footwork.
You're speaking of finesse?
Yeah, not number 22, Blake Marshall. Watch this. Like he's looking for the first guy he can find to try and run over him. And what a tremendous collision that was. But he is a punishing runner when he catches that football.
15 yards for Blake Marshall. First down for the Eskimos at the Argo 44. Marshall gets it again, and he has 5.
Blake Marshall again for 4 yards.
Marshall averaging 6.9 yards a carry.
That's great for fullback. He's like a running back though on a lineman's body. I mean, it's like handing off to an offensive guard or something, because he just wants to punish people out there. And that's, I mean, I know he gets a thrill out of it.
Ham on 2nd and 5, looking long. Has the gizmo, but he's tackled, hit by Van Bellingham, and had it for a split second, but dropped it.
Well, Dave Van Bellingham has had a bit of a rough night tonight. Ellis got behind him for a touchdown. They've been picking on him, but here he comes and puts the good hit on the gizmo to knock that ball loose. Perfect timing there by the youngster.
Second year in the league out of the University of Calgary, Dave Van Bellingham.
He was the starter a lot last year at the middle safety spot. They had a number of people in that position, but this year he is not the starter, but he gets a chance to play because of that man's injury, Carl Braisley.
On 3rd and 5, McAreedy will try. From 36 yards away. And he's good this time. So the Eskimos zero in on 50 points. It's 46-24.
Our coverage of the CFL season continues on Saturday from Hamilton at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It's the CFL Report, and that is followed by the game between the Ottawa Roughriders and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as the Ticats desperately need a win to get into the race for that last playoff spot in the East. That's at 7:30 Eastern on Saturday.
Can Joe Farragelli make it 3 wins in a row for the Ottawa Roughriders?
I like his chances.
Not bad there. Bring you back inside Commonwealth Stadium now, where the Eskimos are in control. Marco Sinkar injured on his last catch, and he may be done for the night.
He took that shot from Don Wilson, and you could tell right away as soon as Wilson hit him that he was hurt. If he is not able to continue, Jordan Gartner back on the roster for this game, and he will replace Marco Sinkar.
The Eskimo football. Coop says welcome to rematch River State. Still in Canada.
4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter with the Eskimos in control. The Argos started quickly and led early. The Eskimos roared back. This is Mike Clemens with the rocket blocking. Now Clemens on his own up near the 45.
19-yard pickup for the Pinballs.
19 yards on the return.
Matt Dunnigan in the last few series been forcing the ball deep to his receivers. They've resulted in a couple of interceptions, one by David Shelton, one by Enos Jackson. Got to get back to the stuff that he was successful with earlier in the game. Quick passes to the pinball and to the rocket. That's the kind of things that can generate some momentum for him and hopefully get them back into the ball game.
Dunnigan has time, looks long once more for Darrell K. Smith, and he couldn't hang on. Actually, Enos Jackson had a decent shot at the interception.
Jackson gets a hand on the ball, goes incomplete.
Well, Edmonton very successful here with the zone coverage, and they are reacting to the football when it's in the air very well here, and that ball up there a long time, and Enos Jackson with perfect coverage on the inside hip of Darrell Smith, and for the most part, they've really taken Darrell Smith out of the game tonight.
Ron Lancaster has just about completely revamped the secondary. Enos Jackson is the only player back there in the spot he began the season at. 2nd and 10 Argos. Number 45, Dunnigan has to work something here. No catch, far side.
Great anticipation by number 13, Mark Mathis. He broke on the football and read Dunnigan's eyes as he was going to the outside to just try and pick up 11 yards in that first down. Paul Mazzotti on the out pattern. Look at Mark Mathis. Ooh, man, he was close to picking that one off. It was funny, I talked to Mathis about the Rocket. I said, what do you think? You know, like, does it make you nervous playing against him? He said, look, I played in the NFL. I played against some great receivers down there. I mean, this guy's got to prove himself before we become nervous about him.
Ankalisic on third down, another low kick. This is Henry Williams. Flag down, and so is Williams near the 29. 11-yard return, 48-yard punt for Ilisic.
Boy, Leonard Johnson right at the end there really gave the Giz a shot as he tried to spin around and work back upfield, and I do believe he's been shaken up too. A lot of hard hitting going on in this game. A lot of players have been knocked out through some tremendous hits.
Henry Williams, the latest injury.
Holding. Edmonton number 30. First down.
The Argos get a bit of a break here as the Eskimos are forced back inside the 20-yard line. The Giz will be back, I'm sure.
I hope so.
2:36 to play in the third quarter with the Eskimos leading 46-24. Tracy Hand to the near side. David Williams the catch. And he's in the area of a first down.
Gentlemen, you mentioned earlier how important it is for the Argos to get Carl Brazeley back in the ball game. Several times the coaches have come over and asked Brazeley if his pulled hamstring is ready to go. Every time he tries it, it's not. But they'd really like to get him back out there if they can even be 50%.
Well, you know, like, hamstrings don't heal in a matter of minutes. I mean, if you have a pull there, forget it. I mean, you have rehab time. I don't expect him to be back.
Marshall, 2nd and 1, has another Edmonton first down. A mismatch there with Pleasant up to help on the tackle.
Now the four is finally getting in the way.
That quick start by the Argos, did they let down a little bit, Leaf, after that?
Well, I don't think they let down. I just think the Edmonton Eskimos started to play a little better on defense. And there you see the offense of the Eskimos has clicked in. The Argos started quickly, but their offense has fizzled a little bit.
Reggie Taylor squirts through for about 4 yards on the play.
The game will be 4, maybe 5.
No, as you look at this game, John, and the takeaway giveaway category plays such an important part in the outcome. And coming into tonight, Toronto exceptionally good at that, a +12 on the season, but they have turned the ball over 5 times tonight. And when you turn it over 5 times, I don't care how good your offense is. I mean, you're going to struggle, and that's what's happening right now.
44 seconds left in the third quarter. Again, they try and run down Tracy Hand. This time, he can't get the pass away. Jordan Gartner, number 31, in for Marco Sinkar, could not make the catch.
Well, the great thing that Tracy Ham does, though, is he avoids the sack. And how many times tonight have you seen him under pressure not only get away from the rush and make a positive play, but any time that a sack is imminent, he is able to throw the ball away and avoid taking that and avoid losing some yardage and good field position.
The Argos should come away with decent field position on this exchange. McAreedy just got it away. The Rocket waits at the 25. Good kick by McAreedy and not much of a return for Ismail.
Jed Roberts again.
6 yards on the return, a 47-yard kick.
Now, this is the matchup that we talked about at the beginning of the game. The kick cover teams led by these two fine young Canadian players. And there's a look at 43, Jed Roberts, a backup linebacker, working ever so hard to come down and make a play on the Rocket. Must be a thrill for him to come down and wrap the Rocket up and make sure he doesn't get a big gain against him.
I think he's winning the matchup tonight, Jed Roberts.
Yes, he is.
From the 32, first down, Argos. Boyd makes the catch, and that is the first down of the second half for Toronto.
Yeah, that's better for Matt. He has to realize that Edmonton has played a good zone in the second half, and he has to work underneath that zone coverage. Very difficult to go over the top of it. The cornerbacks and inside safeties giving the Argo receivers a lot of room, so Matt has to bring him up a little tighter by throwing the shorter passes as he did on the quick post to Jeff Boyd.
Argos at the Toronto 49, 1st and 10. The receiver slipped. Dunnigan was looking for J.P. Escuerdo, and that ends the third quarter at Commonwealth in Edmonton. The Eskimos are leading by a bunch. Our game of the week for now belongs to the Edmonton Eskimos, leading 46-24. The Argos had a 10-point lead in the early going. The Eskimos have scored most of the points since then. And it's all reflected in the stats story.
Certainly is, John. Third quarter stats brought to you by General Motors. Edmonton has racked up 514 net yards, but the number that stands out once again, turnovers. 5 by the Argos, none by Edmonton.
Time of possession slowly creeping in Edmonton's favor. At halftime, it was just about a half a minute apart. Now, with all those turnovers, the Toronto Argonaut offense not on the field very much, and of course the Edmonton Eskimos on substantially more.
The Argos begin the final quarter, 2nd and long. 2nd and 10 facing Dunnigan. Under the cover, Dunnigan may come up to the first down here on a nice catch and run by Mike Clemens.
Mike Pinball Clemens with the reception, a 12-yard reception. Eddie Thomas making the tackle for the Eskimos.
14 for the pinball.
The pinball, such a fan favorite in Toronto, you know, involved in so many charities. Just to list a few of his charities he's affiliated with: United Way, Red Shield, Canadian Cancer Society, Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. I mean, I don't know how he finds time for it all, but what a guy he is.
He's a one-man United Way.
Yeah, he really is.
1st and 10, and a flag comes down on Jeff Boyd, the intended receiver. Pretty good call, I'd say, Lee.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Eddie Thomas got his feet tangled up with Jeff Boyd, and no question, they had to make that call. And you'll see Jeff Boyd as he works downfield, gets to the inside of Eddie Thomas. Eddie Thomas with good position here, but he makes the contact, and they call it.
First down.
Wasn't a lot of contact, but just enough.
Boyd made it look pretty good. A sprawling dive there, too. Thomas was covering. He drew a flag, and the Argos net 23 yards. 1st and 10, Toronto. Near the 25, Dunnigan has another first down to the 10. Might have been lucky to complete that to the Rocket.
That looked like the air came out of that football when he let it go. More like a punt out to the Rocket, but nevertheless, Rocket alert to turn around and make that catch and keep this drive going. You'll see it right here. He will turn around and say, whoop, here it is. Nice job to work back to the football, though. 14 yards on that game.
Argos 1st and 10. From the 10.
No!
Dunnigan looks to the end zone, and D.K. Smith looked to be the intended receiver.
Things went very well for Matt Dunnigan initially in the ball game tonight, but you see a little of the inactivity in his game still. Darryl Smith was open, and Matt Dunnigan should have been able to find him here. Edmonton, strangely enough, backed up on their own end, and once again running the zone coverage. Smith finds the open hole, but Dunnigan couldn't get it to him.
2nd and goal to go, the Argos at the Eskimo 10. Dunnigan needs points here and looks for Rocket. He draws a flag. Mathis covering on Rocket Ismail. So if you can't get it into the end zone, one way, do it on penalties.
Sure. A couple of interference penalties have kept this drive going tonight. One to Eddie Thomas, and now to the other corner, Mark Mathis.
So it is 1st and goal to go for the Argos. At the Eskimo 1. Touchdown.
Kevin Smelly caps off that drive for the Toronto Argonauts. He is obviously pleased with his efforts there as he is taking the ball home to Toronto with him.
A 1-yard plunge, but it's a touchdown, and the Argos desperately needed that. Second touchdown of the season for Kevin Smelly. Lance Chomick easily through for the extra points. And the Argos have closed, but they've still got a long way to come back against the Eskimos. It's 46-31 early in the fourth. Ron Lancaster, CFL playing legend, meets his oldest son, Ron Jr., for the first time as opposing coaches. Ron Jr. is 28, his first CFL season as the coach of the Argonaut running backs. Junior spent a couple of years as the offensive coordinator at Acadia. Dad bought dinner last night.
As he should.
As he should.
Oh, yeah.
Father's responsibility.
Absolutely. Ronnie Jr. was 9 years old when I first met him in Regina when I went out there to play.
Yeah, you must be feeling a little old, partner.
It's creeping up.
46-31, Dad leading the kid here so far tonight. Henry Williams. Some room to the outside. Williams turns it into a decent return and good field position for the Eskimos.
Hey, man, there's 2 teams on the field now. Shit, all right.
Well, Toronto's cause as the Argos go 7 plays and 78 yards, and Kevin Smelly caps it off as the Argos stay in it.
Toronto could use a little turnover here right now to get back in this ball game. They've handed the Eskimos 5 opportunities.
Oh, here you go. Edmonton hasn't committed 1 tonight, and now you've jinxed them.
Tracy Ham for Blake Marshall, and they rule no catch.
Tracy Ham to Blake Marshall rules no catch.
Turf seems a little slippery out there tonight, Leaf.
Gosh, it was great before the game. We haven't had any rain, but, you know, these days the guys don't like to wear the long cleats like we once did.
Back in the prehistoric era.
Back in the prehistoric era, that's correct. No, everybody's so concerned with knee injuries and so forth that the cleats, they just do not wear the long ones. Consequently, at night, if the dew starts to come on the grass, it gets a little slippery for them.
2nd and 10, Edmonton. Ham to the far side. Craig Ellis makes the catch. That'll be an Eskimo first down. Tracy Ham finds a way to get it done.
Yeah, really does. You know, like, you always talk about a quarterback and rolling to his left for a right-handed quarterback is a tough throw, but watch here, Tracy Ham makes it look so easy, and make no mistake, he is not a pure passer by any stretch. He's just a guy that gets the job done, but going to his left, he seems to have no difficulty at all throwing the football.
11 yards for Ellis, first down for the Eskimos. 11:49 to play, fourth quarter.
Well, Tracy Ham's got such a great attitude. You know, before the game, he was laughing and joking, and he said, you know, like, I'm so excited to play against this Toronto team. They've come in with all the fanfare, and what an opportunity for us to get in the limelight along with them. And he was just truly excited to play tonight.
Sandusky in front of Ed Berry. Jim Sandusky coming back to the ball.
Well, technically, as a wide receiver, there is nobody better in the league than Sandusky at running pass patterns. Watch how he works Barry downfield, then back on a good angle to the sideline, keeping that separation that he has created and giving Tracy Ham a good target.
Second catch of the night. His first was for a touchdown.
You know, 3 times in his CFL career, you know, with the BC Lions and the Edmonton Eskimos, he has been over 1,000 yards, and if he keeps up this pace this year, there's no reason why he won't do it again for the 4th time.
The gain is 7. This is 2nd and 3. Give the ball to Blake Marshall and get a first down. Looked to be stopped, but somehow he made it. Well, they're still firing bullets in Regina.
Yeah, are they ever? Jay Christensen has his 2nd touchdown reception of the ball game, and Doug Flutie capped it off with a 2-point convert on the ground, so the Lions pull within 8. There's about 5 minutes left now in the 4th quarter.
A lot of points in the league tonight.
Yeah, 80 points in that game. That sounds like a great football game. We got a great one going here, too. Toronto Argonauts trail by 15 points. A little over 10 remaining, and the Edmonton Eskimos doing their best right now. I mean, this is the best defense that they could possibly have, is just to grind it out against the Toronto defense and keep the ball away from them.
Get some time off the clock right now.
That's it.
10:31 to play. Edmonton 1st and 10 at the Argo 39. Ham goes to work again. Looking for Ellis. And the coverage was supplied by Don Wilson.
Don Wilson has really been going everywhere Craig Ellis has gone on the field since they had the injury to Brazeley. They have decided that Wilson is their best guy to match up on Ellis, so wherever he goes, he goes. And Donnie Wilson had perfect position there on Craig Ellis. Had the big hit on Marco Simcar. You know what? Donnie Wilson had some great years here in Edmonton, 3 consecutive All-Canadian season, and then in 1990 at training camp, Joe Faragelli, who was then the head coach, decided he didn't like Don Wilson's attitude. He released him, and Toronto picked him up, and he has never skipped a beat. He has played tremendous football for the Argonauts in his 2 seasons.
Ham on 2nd and 10. Can he get away this time? He gets close to a first down, tracked down by Brian Warren, number 44. 9 yards.
Well, the tough thing about Tracy Ham, just when you do a great job downfield covering the receivers, what happens? He just decides to tuck it under his arm, and although Brian Warren hauls him down from behind, it's a 9-yard pickup, and with their short yardage offense, it's almost like getting a first down.
And at the 30-yard line, it's not much of a gamble with a lead like 46-31. Another injured Argo. Can't quite make out the number yet.
CFL report starts things off Saturday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We'll come your way from Ivor Stadium in Hamilton, and then it's followed by football as the Ticats take on the Riders, and Joe Faragelli looks to continue his hot hand. He's looking for win number 3 straight as head coach in the nation's capital.
I can tell you on the CFL report, we'll have another edition of the Homeboys, a very popular segment that was created by Pinball Clements and his other pal Doran Major, Benny Feelgood, and Jerome Love. And Carl Brazeley has a great hand in helping direct that. And it is a funny segment for you people that haven't seen it. Tune in at 7 o'clock Eastern time Saturday night and see the Homeboys with their special guest. And I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Come on, who's the special guest? You know.
I know, but you have to wait.
They had Wally Zatilny on.
Yeah, they took Wally to the movies. I thought he was a pretty good homeboy.
The Eskimos staring at 3rd and 1. But the ball is at the Argo 30. So there's little question about what to do. Offside as Blake Marshall takes the handoff from Ham. Don Wilson moved a little early. So the Eskimo drive will continue with 9:27 to go, 4th quarter.
See, that's what a defense will do. I mean, they know it's almost a given that Blake Marshall will pick it up. So they try and cheat a little bit. If you get caught, so what? Maybe if you time it perfectly, you'll stop the play. You'll see it at the right of your screen. There goes Wilson. Marshall picks it up anyway.
(46-31). The Eskimos are in scoring range again. First and 10 for Ham at the 25. Eluding the pressure, throwing on the run. Sandusky has a first down. Dragged down by Ed Barry at the 10.
I think in a way tonight you have to have great sympathy for the Toronto secondary. I mean, Tracy Ham has been able to buy himself all kinds of time, and what that has done is allowed receivers like Jim Sandusky to just kind of wander all around the field until they can find an opening or get away from a defensive back. And in all fairness to the Toronto secondary, I mean, you cannot be expected to stay with a receiver that long.
First and goal to go for the Eskimos again. This time from the Argo 10. Good fake by Ham. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown. Craig Ellis, 2nd of the night. It looked so simple. The fake set it up. Ham looked like he had time to run himself.
Well, the older he gets, the more he would rather throw touchdowns than run for them. And what a night he has had. Watch the great fake here on the trap to Reggie Taylor. That freezes everybody. Look at Darryl Ford, 21, and then great sight lines downfield for Ham to pick out Craig Ellis. Mumford cannot supply the hit, knock the ball loose, and Craig has his 2nd touchdown and a pretty nice smile to go with it.
Argos scored 62 points last week to beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Eskimos have taken advantage of the Argo defense for 53 here tonight.
Hey, David Allen, dance. Everybody resigning, you know what I'm talking about. Papa Joe.
Craig Ellis celebrates his touchdown, and here's how it looked.
Great fake here by Tracy Ham. Freezes everybody, and that allows him to get to the outside, and enough time for Craig Ellis to find an opening downfield and get his second touchdown catch of the year. Here's Craig Ellis, kind of loafs off the line of scrimmage with the play fake, and then says, whoop, I better hurry up and get down to that end zone.
Ham just kind of shoveled that pass in there, but it was perfectly timed. And Tracy has put up some amazing numbers tonight. (19 of 31, 348 yards.
5 touchdown passes for Tracy Ham tonight. 2 to Williams, 2 to Ellis, and 1 to Jim Sandusky.
Ready for another Eskimo kickoff. Ray McAreedy has been busy doing this tonight. To the rocket from the pinball. The flag is down already. So is the rocket.
Well, the Eskimos go 9 plays and cover 61 yards, but perhaps the key part of that drive was that it chewed up 4.5 minutes on the clock. And they cap it off as Craig Ellis gives Edmonton a 22-point lead.
Well, John, you go back and we'll hear the call. Holding.
Toronto number 73. First down.
Jimmy Kardash, reserve offensive lineman, gets called for the hold. But, you know, you go back and you look at this football game, and why has Edmonton been able to dominate? Obviously, they played well offensively and pretty well defensively, but they have totally nullified the special teams of the Toronto Argonauts. There have not been the great returns or the great field position tonight for Toronto.
Smelly underthrown by Matt Dunnigan. 7:59 to go, fourth quarter. The Argos started with a flurry, scoring in 2 plays. And here's how the quarterbacks stack up right now. 5 touchdowns for Ham, just 3 for Dunnigan. But he's tossed 2 interceptions.
Yeah, you look at the difference. Like Matt is a +1, Tracy is a +5 tonight, and that really has been the story as long. Been so many factors. The special team play of the Edmonton Eskimos, the way they have covered kicks has been unbelievable. That's a good group right there.
Yeah, they've accounted for a few points.
Yes, they have.
53-31. It is the Eskimos by 22 at this stage of things. Time runs out on the Argos. Dunnigan has to get them moving. 2nd and 10, and he underthrows again. A little rusty is Matthew.
I think he's a little rusty. He got off to a great start, but slowly he has been neutralized by the Edmonton defense. Good pressure that time from number 40, Benny Goods, right in Matt Dunnigan's face as he went to throw the football. That forced it into the ground.
So Elisic will kick it away from his end zone. Pretty good night for Hank. The Eskimos will get great field position. Henry Williams over the shoulder catch at the 55. Another fine return as he gets inside the Argonaut 45. Stopped by Bruce Dixon. It is the Eskimos leading the way, 53-31. Over Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Our view of proceedings. The Edmonton Eskimos. Always tough at home. Proving it once more here tonight. Edmonton winning both games from Toronto last year. The Argos haven't won here in a couple of years now. The difference is fairly easy to determine.
Well, usually we pick a player, but tonight it's just been turnovers.
Loose footballs all over the field.
You know, one thing about it, you make a point about playing in Commonwealth Stadium, how tough it is for visiting teams, and You know, I honestly believe that psychologically, since this is the only grass field left in the CFL, teams that come in here, like, I mean, it is a slower track. There's no question about it. You're not nearly as fast as on AstroTurf, and sometimes psychologically, teams will come in here and just, the receivers feel a little slower. Everybody maybe just feels a little more sluggish because they're used to that fast AstroTurf. The Eskimos, of course, they're used to playing here all the time, and I think sometimes psychologically that plays on the minds of some visiting players when they come to Commonwealth. Beautiful stadium, though, you see right there, and a good crowd tonight here cheering on the home team.
First and 10 Edmonton from the Toronto 41. Reggie Taylor, he's had a big night, over 100 yards already. Met by
Taylor with a 3-yard gain for the Eskimos.
Ed Barry was there.
Darryl Ford and Ed Barry.
Warren Jones is now the Eskimo quarterback, number 6. Barry Tracy gets a rest.
Yeah, very difficult sometimes to distinguish between number 8 and number 6, but I was kind of just thinking to myself, you know, it's about time for Warren Jones to get in and get some playing time. That has been a goal of Ron Lancaster's this year, to give Warren Jones playing time in every game where possible.
Well, it should be possible with a lead like this. 22 points, 6:42 to go. Jones can't find anyone open, and he's down. Harold Hallman, number 70, is there.
Warren Jones brought down for a loss on the play. 3 Argonauts in on the action.
Time ticking down at Taylor Field, Gord.
Yeah, it is, and Dave Ridgway has given the Riders some breathing room. His field goal makes it 47-36, less than a minute to go now in the fourth quarter.
That'll be a big win for the Rough Riders if they can hold on. Saskatchewan in here next week against Edmonton. McAreedy lost the ball. Couldn't get the kick away. There was a big charge by the Argos. No flags anywhere. So Toronto should get a turnover here.
And a massive scrum at the end there.
Looked a little like rugby.
Probably a good decision by McAreedy not to kick that football. He was aware they have a 22-point lead, and I think he did the best thing he could, just swallow it.
Who led the charge?
A bunch of guys. And there's no question, he sees immediately that this thing is going to, he feels that it's going to be blocked by Paul Mazzotti. And that's a smart thing. Mike Campbell, if he could have flipped it to one of the faster guys, they might have scored.
6:07 to go. Here's a break for the Argos. Let's see what Dunnigan can do with it. From the 40, first down Toronto. Clemens has a gain of close to 7. And Danny Bass got to him to make the tackle. The Argos need 3 touchdowns. And at least 1 2-point convert to tie. Dunnigan dumps it off. Smelly couldn't hang on. He dropped passes lately.
Well, you know, although Matt Dunnigan understands how defenses work, and he's, you know, no question his talents at quarterback, they are a different team with him in there rather than Ricky Foggy. With Ricky Foggy, always the element of surprise of when is he going to run. Matt, on the other hand, I mean, he is not going to run too much anymore, and I think they are really 2 different looks that the Argos have with Foggy and Matt Dunnigan.
The Argos gambling on 3rd and 3. Smith didn't turn around. And Masadi couldn't make a catch. Receivers. A little bit of a miscue, and that's turnover number 6. Eskimos take over on downs. 53-31. Dunnigan, a hot hand early, but he's been stone cold lately.
Yeah, he really has, and I think the Edmonton defense has been a big reason why he has been stone cold. They have really met the challenge in the 2nd, 3rd, and here in the 4th quarters.
5:08 to go now. It is Warren Jones at the control of the Eskimos. But Jordan Gardner stopped short of the 40.
Warren Jones on the hitch to Jordan Gardner.
It's interesting, Ron Lancaster trying to develop his young Canadian talent in the receiving corps. They have Christian Mazzotti, brother of Paul Mazzotti and Jordan Gertner. And Ron Lancaster's feeling is we want to get both of them some playing time. So Mazzotti was in the lineup for about 3 games. Now it's his turn to go on the reserve list and have a rest. And Jordan Gertner comes on, and he gets a little playing time now. So I think it's a pretty smart idea. Ron Lancaster certainly knows the value of having a lot of depth, and he's trying to nurture all his backups.
Jones facing 2nd and 3, and the Eskimos won't get the first down. Ryan Walling made the catch. Daryl Ford the tackle.
Gordy, what's going on in Regina?
I wish I could. Well, I can tell you, in fact, Ray Alexander from Doug Flutie with just seconds left. They missed the 2-point convert. Now, I know BC's been to overtime 3 times this year, but you can't score 5, can you?
There's no 5-point play. So overtime is not a possibility, I don't believe. Well, maybe there's a field goal and a safety. But there's not much time left there. And not much time left for the Argos here at 4:06 to play, 4th quarter. It'll be 3rd down Edmonton.
Don't forget the great riders in town next Wednesday.
They're going for it.
Commonwealth.
The Eskimos will try and convert this 3rd down. It's 3rd and less than a yard.
Saskatchewan 47, BC 42.
Than a yard to go for the Eskimos, and it's easily a 1st down Edmonton as Jones kept himself. So Lancaster won't have any timing problems here tonight. We talked about that in the Ottawa game last week, and Lancaster was joking about it a little bit this week when they ran out of time in Ottawa. Told a story, if you call for a time check, the recorded message says if you live in Edmonton, it's 6 Mountain Daylight Time. If you're on the 24-hour clock, it's 1,800 hours. If you're the coach of the Eskimos, the little hand is on the 6.
I like it.
1st and 10. Jones in trouble. Will he get it away? Yes, but he takes a hit. He gets a completion. Greg Ellis coming back. He'll be short of the 1st down. Jones fired that a long way. He comes up a couple of yards short.
Looks like about an 8-yard gain on the play.
Good pressure coming at Warren Jones, and he is able still to get this football away and complete the pass. But finally the pass rush will come, and just as he releases the football, he's going to take the hit. Behind from Brian Warren, and some help from Donnie Bone as well.
He threw that about 35 yards to gain 8 yards. Game of the week belongs to the Eskimos at 53-31 with 3 minutes to play. Adam Rita staring straight at his 2nd loss of the season. The Argos 5-1 coming into this. The Eskimos 4-2.
I don't think this is how he imagined the game would go, especially with the start that his club got off. First 2 plays, they had a touchdown, long pass to the Rocket, and the Pinball scored one, and I'm sure Adam Rita thought, it's going to be another good night for us. Just didn't turn out that way. Tracy Ham had a lot to do with that, as he had a super night, 5 touchdown passes for him, increasing his league lead in that department to 21 touchdown passes.
It's amazing.
In 7 games.
Yeah.
Nice pace. Well, last year he had 36, excuse me, which was a club record, so certainly on pace to equal or better that mark.
2nd and a couple for the Eskimos. They'll try and get across midfield. Marshall carrying. He might be a little short.
It seems like it's almost impossible to stop Greg Marshall. It looked like they had good penetration and had a hand on him in the backfield, but a hand just isn't enough for him at 6'1", 230 pounds, and he is awfully close to that 1st down marker. Comes up about 6 inches short.
Danny Barrett has the most touchdowns passing in a single game this season. At least he did have until tonight with 4. So Tracy Ham surpasses that with 5. 2:36 to go. The Eskimos convert another 1st down. Jones kept himself. 53-21. Leaf, I didn't think it would be this lopsided.
I thought there'd be this many points, but a little closer.
Maybe a little more evenly distributed.
First and 10, Eskimos. Ball on
From an entertainment standpoint, though, although the last half of the fourth quarter has been a little slow, I mean, this game has had everything.
Hot start by the Argos, a response by the Eskimos. Edmonton taking the lead by halftime. Tipped at the line, possible interception.
Warren Jones got it down.
James Dickerson, Jackie Parker.
Michael Campbell getting a hand on it.
Back in the old days. And today still involved with the Edmonton Eskimo Football Club and a pretty fair country golfer.
Yes, he is. And I think from his facial expression, you can tell that the game is in the bag. Nothing more to worry about here.
.205 to go. The Eskimos hang on to the ball at 2nd and 10. Right at midfield, Warren Jones is the quarterback. Strong arm for Sandusky, far side. Pleasant fell down. Now gets up and tries to react. Chris Munford to make the tackle after a 31-yard gain.
You know, I know some people will be at home and they'll say, 53-31. What are the Eskimos trying to do? Run up the score and rub it in the face of the Argonauts? But really, it's not the case. Warren Jones is getting some playing time. He's trying to mature as a young quarterback and learn the game as quickly as he can. So he has to throw the football in order to learn. And Jim Sandusky ran a great pattern for him. So no, they're not trying to run up the score. They're just trying to give their backups some playing time, and they have to do their thing.
1st and 10, Edmonton at the 22. Brian Walling carries. Sandusky, 3 receptions. He's over 100 tonight with 104.
Boy, are they rich in Canadian running backs. You look at the starter, Blake Marshall, and behind him you've got Brian Walling, you've got Michael Souls, you've got a Sean Millington that's on the reserve list. The Edmonton Eskimos, just so much depth with their Canadian talent. There's Brian Walling there, number 34, getting a chance to play here in the fourth quarter.
Minute 20 to go. And the Eskimo drive continues against a tired Argonaut defense. Michael Souls, and he's close to another first down on 2nd and 7.
Michael Souls calling in that Warren Jones.
So many weapons. Good point you made early in the telecast, Leaf. Tracy Ham tiring out that Argo defense by running around a little bit early.
Well, there's no question he has been able to do that, and now Warren Jones comes in, and he is a recipient of that because the pass rush at this point in time is really non-existent.
Jones trying to put a few numbers up on the board.
Boy, he's a pure passer. I mean, Warren Jones got a great arm.
Souls gets the first down for the Eskimos.
It is another Edmonton first down with just over a minute to go in the fourth.
First and 10, Eskimos, ball on the Toronto 12-yard line.
So Jones has a chance to drive this in for another Eskimo touchdown and put 60 points up on the board in total. Jones will throw under the cover. Brian Walling, and he loses yardage and loses the football. With 40 seconds to go, the Argos race all the way downfield. That's Don Wilson. No flags anywhere, and the whistle had not sounded as Wilson takes it all the way for an Argo TD. 94 yards.
Don Wilson picking up the fumble.
And he's tired. He's done a lot of running tonight. He's been on Craig Ellis most of the evening, and anytime you cover Craig Ellis, you're in for a long night of running. But here you see the hit, Dave Van Bellingham, number 17. Reggie Pleasant comes in and puts the hit on him, and then it is Don Wilson. And, of course, he's trying to run as fast as he can here to not take us too much time off the clock. He's still thinking, hey, we got a shot at this thing. But, well, when he gets to the end, the gas tank is on empty.
All right, you've had a rest. Let's go.
Now be nice.
31 seconds remaining. Now, the Argos may go for a 2-point convert here. On the scoreboard right now, it's 53-37. 2-point convert try by the Argos. Dunnigan to the corner. And he has 2 more.
The Rocket. 2-point convert. Boy, that's a tough pass to defend for Eddie Thomas, number 17. You know, back turned, he can't locate the football. And of course, the Rockets' great speed.
Well, the Argos need a miracle here tonight. They're down by 2 touchdowns with 31 seconds remaining. Gord, do you believe in miracles?
Funny you should ask me that, John. Now I do. Mark Marasco recovered a short kick with seconds left in the ball game. Doug Flutie went in from a yard out, scored the 2-point convert. It's a final, and it's robbery at Taylor Field, 50-47 BC.
97 points.
We have a final score in from Regina. Don't forget the
absolutely amazing. Flutie magic.
There it is. Are you ready? Saskatchewan 47, BC 50.
Well, they just announced the Saskatchewan score over the PA here. The reaction was almost disbelief from the spectators remaining here. Commonwealth Stadium. Don Wilson taking some serious breaths on that oxygen.
The Argos try the short kick.
I think they got it.
Should have possession.
They got it. Paul Mazzotti.
Mazzotti did a high jump. Got high in the air.
You know, I think that's probably one of the most exciting plays in football. It's like the penalty shot in hockey, and that's onside kick. I mean, you get about 8 guys trying to get it, and of course in our league all you need to do is the last person to touch it gains possession, and I do believe was number 88 Paul Mazzotti with a great effort.
It is Mazzotti's effort that gives the Argos one last kick at it here. They need 2 touchdowns in 30 seconds.
That's a great kick by Lance Chomick to set this up. Lots of hang time on it and right to the sideline. That's good play.
Dunnigan in trouble and down. The Eskimo defense has played well.
Is it my imagination, or is he not quite as mobile as he once was? What do you think?
Well, he said he was 100% coming off his injury.
I know that, but that's not what I'm saying.
He doesn't, or hasn't looked quite as mobile, particularly in the latter stages here tonight.
Geez, I got you off the fence one time.
How about my quarterback, Flutie, bringing him back tonight?
Unbelievable. That's great.
Here's the pinball. Looking to hand it off to someone. I think he chose the wrong guy. 5 seconds to go. Who did he flip it to? The guy had a number 60 on him.
Look at Matt's laughing.
Jim Kardash, the great running back.
The number there.
Well, this will make Kardash. He's the most surprised guy in the park. Watch this one.
Whoa.
Oh, it's 5 yards for the first down.
First CFL carry for Jim
And he
Kardash.
landed right on top of the pinball.
3rd and 4, last play of the game. Quite likely as Dunnigan looks long and airs it out. Jump ball at the 10. Argos make the catch. But the game ends there. Darrell K. Smith comes up with the football, but it's too late for the Argos. Toronto with a big start at Commonwealth tonight. They fizzled in the 4th, and the Eskimos win easily, 53-39.
Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass. We take you back to the first half of the ball game. And a man we kept an eye on all night, the Rocket, Raghib Ismail. He takes the kick but doesn't get far. The ball is knocked loose, and it's recovered by Willie Bless at the Toronto 17-yard line. Edmonton scored on the next play to go ahead, and that was the TSN Turning Point. A cash donation will be made to the Coaches Association of Canada for the training and development of coaches in amateur sport on behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass. Saves you money on stone chip windshield repair. Final score from Commonwealth Stadium, Edmonton 53, Toronto 39. Back with more on TSN in just a moment. The Argos suffer their second loss of the season, but they're still in first place over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And in the Western Division, it starts to get interesting now as Edmonton goes to 5-2. And don't forget, the Eskimos have a back-to-back series with the first-place Calgary Stampeders coming up. Last year at Commonwealth Stadium, Edmonton hammered Toronto 56-36. This year, the count not quite as high, but it still has the same effect as Edmonton dominates Toronto from almost start to finish. For final thoughts on the game, here's John and Lee.
Yes, scored almost start to finish. The Argos got the hot start, but the Eskimos did not give up and came roaring right back. Another great night for Tracy Ham.
Yeah, it really was, John. You know, Tracy Ham, he's off to such a great season, an all-star season for him. 20 of 30, 357 yards, 5 touchdown passes. And you brought up this point earlier in the telecast, and it's worth mentioning again. He spreads the ball around the receiving course so well. Craig Ellis, a couple of touchdowns. David Williams, a couple of touchdowns. Sandusky, a touchdown. 607 yards in total offense. I mean, what an unbelievable show. Great entertainment.
Yeah, what more can we say? The Eskimos offensively awesome. And the defense, Leif, I think a good point to be made, played extremely well tonight as well.
Maybe a little overshadowed because of the offensive performance, but yes, they did. They had a shaky first quarter, and then they came on in the second, third, and fourth and tightened it down. And then the special teams, led by Jed Roberts, did a great job shutting down the Toronto kicking game.
So the Edmonton Eskimos come away with a win, and Ron Lancaster is now 5-2, just like Adam Rita is.
All right, thanks very much, gentlemen. On Saturday, we'll start things off in Hamilton at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with the CFL report and follow it with football. An Eastern Division showdown as the Riders take on the Ticats, 7:30 Eastern Time. Final score from Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Eskimos over the Argos, 53-39. Good night from Commonwealth Stadium. The CFL Game of the Week on TSN is brought to you by GMC Trucks, the trucks more people lean on. And by 7-Up. It's cool to be clear.